Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pylon Show. This is episode 96. I, of course, am Artosis, and we have a wonderful episode lined up today with three guests that have never been on the show. It's very rare that I get three guests at once that haven't been on the show. That being said, I'm also since we're on episode 96, every time I have a new guest, I'm also embarrassed because I'm like, why haven't I had you on before? Because I mean, we've had the time, right? But I continue to march towards my goal of having everyone that is involved with StarCraft on the show. Guys, thanks for coming by. If you could just quickly introduce yourselves. Let's start with you, KJ. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thank you. I'm KJ. I founded and run Storm Gaming.
Excellent. Thanks for coming, man. We also have GumiGod from Team Exxon.
Yeah, I'm GumiGod. I run Team Exxon. I took it over in 2020. And I also run and host events as well for the StarCraft community and StarCraft 2 teams.
Excellent. Thanks for coming. And in the middle of the night, Miguel from Alpha X. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Well, I'm French. I'm an Alpha X manager, and I admin organize tournaments like Junior Championship, and I also take care for academy players and European community.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being up in the middle of the night and instead of laddering, I guess, being here with us. So yeah, this episode, it's kind of funny and it's well timed out only by luck to have all of you guys on here. We actually already started getting the show together, and then the news broke about the StarCraft 2 War Chest Team League thing, which kind of blew up on Reddit and Twitter in the past few days. But we actually already had this episode in the works, right, guys? I'm not lying about that.
That is correct.
It was a master plan.
I'm not just preying upon the drama.
100% correct.
Yeah, so that makes me quite happy. That because I would feel weird if I'm like, okay, we'll have you guys because there's drama going on. No, that's not how it goes. And we have a lot of stuff to talk about that is not just drama here, but at least I guess we will touch on that as well. So quick rundown of the show. I'm going to talk about the sponsors real quick. We're going to jump into the topics, which has to do with what these guys do, kind of behind the scenes stories and things that go on with teams, because I think nobody really knows about that unless they've been in that position before. And we'll touch base on that StarCraft 2 War Chest Team League thing and talk about that a little bit. Then into the Patreon questions, I'll let these guys go, and then we'll be doing This Week in StarCraft at the end of the show. That's kind of like a thing that we've been working on where if we have European guests on, just by default, we move that around a little bit because I feel guilty the whole show having poor Miguel here in the middle of the night. Thanks. All right, so let me quickly introduce our sponsors here. First off, Matcherino, of course, matcherino.com/The Pylon Show. Check this out, guys. This is a great way to support the show. This code word this week is sushi, because it's International Sushi Day. You guys like sushi?
I love sushi.
Yes,
Yeah?
of course.
It's
Love
my
it.
team honor, so I have to say yes, else he will kill me.
Yes. All right. Perfect. I forgot about that. That's funny. Yeah. Okay. So International Sushi Day. I still haven't tried sushi. I'm a little bit nervous about it because everyone acts like it's so great. So what if I don't like it? I'm not going to be one of the cool kids.
Try the
Takes a couple
California
times.
rolls.
Yeah, it
All
takes
right.
a couple times and then you get into it.
Oh, okay.
For me, anyway.
That's how it was for me with coffee, and now I can't stop. So maybe
There
it's
you
not a
go.
good idea.
There's a sign right there.
Yeah. So guys, check out Matcherino. You can even get cool stuff like this mug. Help us out. Type in the code sushi on Matcherino. Also, do check out our Patreon, patreon.com/The Pylon Show. Big thanks to everyone who does support there. Of course, you can leave questions for everyone on the show, which we'll be answering at the end. All right. Yeah, I guess, and check out thepylonshow.com. Yeah, that's where you get all your Pylon Show needs. Again, we'll be doing This Week in StarCraft at the end of the show. So, you know what? Let's just kind of start in on the topic. The topic itself it's a little bit general, a little bit broad, but it has to do with just kind of like having a team within the scene. What is that like exactly? The thing is, teams nowadays also are always running events, and so how that kind of works into it and all that. But I'd love to hear just like little intros from you guys about like what you do within your team and like how the team got started and just a little bit of history behind it for people who don't know about your particular teams. Does anyone want to start?
Newest team first.
Oh, me. All right. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
So
Well, I guess I would make it shortest, right? If you're the newest team. So go ahead.
Well, interestingly enough, I didn't actually start this team. It actually started way back in 2010, 2011, by a friend of mine. It originally started as a Black Ops 1 team, more so of a competitive team. They played in tournaments, but they very rarely won money. It wasn't like the high tier competitive scene, but after 2014, it kind of died down a bit. So the leader and I kept in touch the entire time. And around 2018, 2019, I got in touch with him again, asking if he wanted to help sponsor some events. And this is where I started hosting more events. I moved out of Diamond League. I talked to a couple of players, Nina. I talked to Riser, Caleb Barakis, and many others. And we ended up hosting a Grandmaster Free For All sponsored by Team Exxon. And going on, they sponsored show matches, Pro versus Joes, helping out with Winter every chance I got the chance. And then he ended up handing it over to me by 2020. And through then, I started reaching out to some players, asked ET Pwn Home if he wanted to help out. Damonum Camo was a huge sponsor of a lot of events for Winter and I, and asked if he wanted to help sponsor the team. He was more than happy, and thank God for Damon, because we wouldn't be where we're at without him. And we ended up recruiting Nina. We ended up recruiting BioIce. We ended up recruiting Cham when Chiba went under. And the rest is essentially history because this is where we're at now.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Great. Thank you for that introduction. How about you, Miguel? Can you tell us a bit about Alpha X as a team and your role in it?
Well, sure. Alphax were born like 1 year and a half ago, but before we were on a team named Psionic Aftermath, and the owners withdrew, so we created Alpha X then, but we were all already there. Most of the staff, all the players too stayed with us. Well, I was not there when Psionic Aftermath was created because I was like really young, but we created Alpha X so in December 26th. A lot of work because we had to do everything really fast, created a new merc, check everything with all the sponsors like Africa TV, change everything with Team Leagues because we had to change name, etc. Yeah, that's pretty it about how Alpha X started. And my job on Alpha X is most of all managing all European players and most of all B teams, our academy players with the youngest players like Baby Marine we have now. We have Arrow Fire, Exostriker under 16 players. Even Wooden Microbe is a bit older, obviously, but still a young player and improving a lot. So I'm taking care of them, allowing them to play in tournaments, have practice partners, etc.
Yeah, that actually just strikes me as a really intelligent way to recruit up and coming talent is by running the 15 years old and younger league that you guys actually run. So, that's very
well,
clever.
actually, we created it because we had Arrow Fire and Exostriker, and actually two other players, Cuckoo and Optimistic, at that time. So that's why we hosted them. But But yeah, obviously, Baby Marine may join us because of the junior championship.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. KJ, how about you? Tell us some history behind.
Yeah, sure.
Psystorm.
But I want to give props to Alpha X. Is that December? This past December, you guys started? Is that what you said?
No. 1 year and a half ago.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say you guys kicked ass in like such a short amount of time, right?
Yeah.
So I got a lot of respect for Alpha X and what you've accomplished in such a short amount of time.
Dude,
So,
they do a lot. It feels like about a third of my This Week in StarCraft every week. I'm talking about Alpha X stuff. There's a lot.
They do a lot. Every time I open Twitter, there's some Alpha X event. I'm like, who is this team? They're kicking ass. So anyway, that's what's been happening for me and my impression with you guys. Nice job. But back to Psystorm, we started. So if I thought you were 6 months, we're going into 6 years, right? So it started in 2013. In fact, I went ahead and sent a picture for Cobra where I met Filthy Rake, and he was a StarCraft guy. We're car guys, right? So we met up and we talked about StarCraft, and we're like, wow, we have two passions together. Let's start a team. So that's how it started in 2013. We just recruited mostly locals, right? We got our first grandmaster.
So you guys met at a car thing and then realized you both like StarCraft and made the team?
Yeah, we were part of a car group, and we had a common friend who said, you guys need to talk. You guys like cars and you love StarCraft. You guys need to meet. And as soon as I met him, I was like, wow, this is amazing. So he put up a picture there. That's Damon, right? Filthy Rake. He used to run the Filthy Cups and all that. So he showed me his car. He let me drive it. I didn't let him drive my car. So we were talking about it, and we're like, you know what? Let's start a team. And we got our first grandmaster. We were all excited. It's a local grandmaster, Migraine, and we added SWS, and of course, Ender was the reason we started the team, really, too. As far as me and my own idea, I was like, oh, I think I got to get that guy because I'm Filipino, right? So
yeah,
I got him on the team. But yeah, it started in 2013, and as you know, 2015, 2016, we got True, and that's when actually we were like, oh, I guess we got to go all out now. And that's the there's a lot more to that, but of course that's the brief intro. And what do I do for the team? I've done everything, including sweep the team house floor, clean up after the guys, being the dad and all that stuff. Do some of the socials. We don't have a huge staff to start, and and then of course that got too much work, so we added Penguin as a manager. So he moved in and kind of started helping us out and do a lot of things for us. So but I do basically anything that's kind of needed, right? And we had some really interesting like old school people on our team. Like you guys remember Arium? So there's a picture there of Arium, which I sent to the second picture. He was on our team briefly. So there's a few other guys there.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks for kind of introing your teams, guys. Let's start talking about like so how do I put this? I feel like no one starts some people start esports teams to get rich, but I don't think that these are necessarily you guys.
Definitely not the case.
when they do that, it's for other games that start with over and end with watch. But it's more like, how do you guys kind of like look at it as a business and decide about recruiting players? Because this is always like, I've been in the esports scene for a really long time, and sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, okay, well, when someone picked up Stefano way back, it's like, yes, he's worth a ton of money. But I feel like a lot of the team stuff nowadays is also about growing new talent and stuff. So just, can you guys kind of talk about the business choices behind this and how you decide about recruiting players and stuff? I feel like that's a huge question, but please, I want to learn.
Well, when it comes to Team Exxon, a lot of us, when it comes down to it, it's not really just me who takes on players. I go through the co-leader and the team captain. Team captain looks after the players. He gets them invited to events as well, and so do I. I work with a lot of team leaders and event organizers as well to get them invited to events. And when it comes to recruiting players, we plan on getting players that are very dedicated to the StarCraft community. Ones who want to put on good games. Winning isn't a high priority. It's just being part of the event. Players love seeing these players play, and just them participating in general is just our overall goal. We try and participate in any event thrown our way. Try not to stress out the players too much, and the players are our number one concern overall, because if they're unhappy or they're stressed out, they're overworked, we work with them. We talk to them. We do our best to make sure their needs are met. So we try to do everything we can to keep the team running as flawlessly, but we know flawless is kind of a ever-ending goal we can't reach. So
Sure. Cool. Miguel, can you talk to us a little bit about recruiting players and the kind of decisions that can go into that?
Yeah, well, I kind of agree with Duquette. It's also finding new talent. That's one of the main objective of our team. So even Zune, Astria, I mean, or top future now, since few days, there are young players that are really improving, and we're looking for players who are not yet the best player in the world winning BlizzCon, but who have a really big potential, and we want to help them go as far as they can and want to go. It's actually the same team in the academy team. I mean, obviously, it's not the same thing when you recruit a 13 years old player, because you do not know if when he will turn 16, the WCS, USL Pro Tour will still be here. I mean, I hope for them it will be, but we don't know. But we at least want to give them the most we can to help them keep with their motivation and stuff. So I think that's the most important for us. So we recruit players that have potential and obviously who are nice, well mannered. That's the most important. I feel the players are people, and we want good people in our team.
Yeah, and KJ, like I've seen that you guys have definitely recruited up and coming talent a lot in the past, but also some of the very best players in the world. True was very very strong. GumiGod, obviously, a fucking GSL champion.
Yeah.
How do you guys look at that as well? Because it feels like you have a huge range on the players that you pick up.
Yeah, sure. So as you know, with 6 years of history, right, we went from very small team with just local goals to getting thrust into an international spotlight. Like, whoa, we got to change how we do things where people are looking. But in reality, recruiting top players is really an opportunity thing. Things happen. They were available. They contacted me. We negotiated, and then we see what they wanted, what kind of player they are in terms of their drive, and if they're good mannered players. And Miguel talked about that. That's actually one of the things that was important to me as an owner. I don't like toxic players. Period. I don't even want to play with chat on when they play StarCraft, right? Because I just don't want to deal with that. So I enforce that on the team, and as much as possible, make sure that's not happening. But as far as recruiting players of that caliber, when we got True, it was an opportunity thing. He was free. He messaged me and thought about it. It's like, wow, we got to go that level. We got to change everything. We got to get a team house, yada yada yada, right? So it just kind of happened. Same thing with Gumio. Same thing with Ragnarok. Ragnarok, I had the feeling about it. And then as far as the younger players like Silky, who's doing really well, right? Jon Snow, of course, when we got him, he won Cheese Adelphi after we got him. I was like, wow, this is great. We just got like some lucky streaks here, right? So a lot of that is luck too and opportunity, but obviously you try to get whoever's available.
Yeah, that's true. And for example, sometimes you just would like to have a Zerg for a team league lineup. So you're just looking at who Zerg is teamless, and sometimes that helps also what race they are playing, what race do you need in your lineups. Something important too, I think.
Yeah, that's how many players are actually on your guys' teams currently? And do each of your teams have a division between like up and coming players? And you mentioned academy team, Miguel. I wonder if that's like a completely standard thing.
Well, yeah, we have 3 parts on our team. We are a really big team because we have a community team with amateur players, and then we have 2 divisions or a team with a bit more than 10 players. I don't remember how much exactly. And then we have 4 players on our academy, which are a bit less good, but still playing a lot, really competitive players and stuff.
Yeah, as for me, I don't know the number.
No problem.
It changed quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at one point we had so many players, including a B team per se, right? Like they're really good players. They're just not at the premier Gumiho whatever level, right? And then we even had some up and comers. So I don't have all the details of that. As a manager was handling that, but as far as each player, I typically get the veto or approval privilege on each. But
cool. Drink it.
And we currently have 6 pro members by Liquipedia standards, and we have
there you go.
8 semi-pro players and 7 amateur players. And we try and work it so like the pro players help out the semi-pro help out the amateur. They all get paid coaching from each other and from other players from other teams. So we try and make them the best that they can be.
Oh, I like that. I like that idea of the kind of trickle down of like the pros don't necessarily teach the amateurs, but they teach the semi who teach the amateurs. That's cool.
Well, some
Exactly.
pros, they don't want to deal with that, right? Like
Mm,
they don't want to. You have to ask them, hey, can you practice with so and so? He's preparing, and sometimes they would do it. I'm not obviously going to name names, but
yeah.
some of them don't want to do it. Some do. It really just
And
depends on the player and how
on
much of a diva they are.
plus
Yeah.
on top of that, like the pro players would know a lot more than the semi-pro, but almost too much for the most of the amateur players to comprehend in, let's say, a 2-hour session, where the
Mm,
semi-pros can help with little fixes on their build, their timing, like taking attacks, where the pro would be having a lot more insight on that, but would be a little too
mm.
much information in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, and the pro
Good
sometimes
point.
has a lot to do in order to become better, so as they do not have a lot of time to help the lower player. But for example, we have an ex-pro player, Light, who is not playing a lot StarCraft 2, but still has a decent knowledge of the game. So he's really helping our semi-pro player, even if they were playing together, maybe he would not be the best, but he has a better knowledge, so he can still help.
So I have a funny story about
Yeah.
practicing, right? So as you know, True is a very unusual player, right? Same thing with
Oh yeah.
GumiGod. It's not like you can, hey, let me practice with these guys and it'll help me
Yeah.
prepare for so and so. It doesn't actually work out. I mean, True told me a funny story. He was supposed to practice with Maru, and Maru got mad at him because he kept doing stuff that was stupid. At least according to him, it's like, stop doing that. And so there's certain things that you can practice and help them out with, but in reality there's just no, some players just can't do it with the different styles and all that. So
Yeah. Definitely, they definitely agree with that. I understand that sentiment, especially with Drew. He definitely had his own very aggressive style going on.
yeah.
Not always what you want to practice against. Um, okay, so with the like these kind of big rosters that you're trying to build up, uh, obviously the levels of support have to vary to huge degrees within that. And it's kind of like a more topical right now question that I didn't really prep you guys with, but I did want to ask about it. I know that a big thing with teams is oftentimes, if you're a strong player in a team, you'll get sent to an event or something. And now suddenly we're in this world where there's no travel for at least the foreseeable future. Basically, everything for the year is canceled. How has this really affected your teams? Because I mean, I feel like with no Cheese Adelphi, for instance, where's all the Storm players? Like this is probably a big part of their contract is being able to go something like this. So
Yeah.
how has that
Yeah.
affected you guys?
Well, for Team Exxon at least, as a relatively new team,
Hmm.
it's really hard, fundamentally speaking, trying to get sponsors. We've
Yeah.
been lucky because some of the sponsors that sponsor Team Exxon are huge fans of the players we picked up, and that just happened to be by chance or skill or however you guys want to decide it, And
Sure.
with no events going out, it's hard to get our name out there and say to sponsors, "Hey, this is what our players are capable of. This is what the team can do." We'll throw your picture on a jersey or your logo on a jersey, and it'll help get advertising out there. Like that you wouldn't have before. But because of the lack of events, we can't say that. It's not true. So when it comes to next year, it might be better. Just seeing how it goes in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for us, we were at that level a while ago when it was really ad hoc. You're really dealing with the sponsors at individual level, and you're selling them based off. But now, because of our years of history, we try to be comprehensive in terms of providing for the sponsors a more disciplined approach of how we're going to promote their products or their
Hmm.
business or give them the impressions that they need, etc. Right? So that's all based on some metrics and numbers. So we're trying to get to that level so you can get the better sponsors.
Hmm.
Obviously, but as far as this COVID situation and travel, uh, if you guys have noticed, we haven't signed anyone new yet.
Yeah.
Right? We've
Yeah.
had guys retire. We've been on the back foot, kind of just like seeing what's happening. We're dealing with some investment opportunities here. We have some fundraising drives, stock investment drives. So for us, is a more complicated answer on that. But just to give a level of an idea of how events are funded or how how players are, and the different levels of players are supported. It's a contract by contract basis with each player, right? So, for example, if we had say Gumio, say, okay, Gumio, this is your salary, this is your support, this is your, we'll send you to this, we'll send you to that, we'll cover this, we'll cover that, right? So that's kind of all detailed out on the contract. On some general players that a lot of them don't have contracts, then we do have a budget where we say, hey, this is our budget for Cheesadelphia, Denver, right? We're gonna do this, do that, and sign up. Make sure Penguin coordinates all that. Stefan, Penguin has access to the bank account. He just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like spends the money, and I get a report and I approve. And if it gets too much, I'm like, oh, what is this? And then we started to do a guideline of this is how much you can spend per event, per this, per that. So it got to that level. So as you can see, it's
Hmm.
not it's an evolving thing as you get
Yeah,
it gets more complicated.
sure. And has this situation impacted negatively or maybe even positively with all your online stuff, Miguel, Alpha X?
Yeah, well, we have three ways to give money to our players. So the first one is making tournaments, which is
Mm-hmm.
the most used for a lot of our players, even our academy, even our community players sometimes. Then
Mm-hmm.
for our best players, we give money for LAN expense, and
Mm-hmm.
then for the top player, we give money, additional money. So we
Mm-hmm.
do not have to pay LAN expense at the moment, but we used a bit more money to give money to some of our players and a bit more to host tournaments. We can host more tournaments with this money. So anyway,
Oh,
the players receive the money one way or another.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to add to that too. Even if it's not on the contract, obviously you can overrule and make decisions based on how a player is doing. So for one example in there, when we had Ragnarok, right? It wasn't in his contract that we send him to one of the tournaments. I think it was Katowice, right?
Mm.
So I talked to Penguin. I was like, you know what? We haven't seen much of him. Let's motivate him. Let's send him to Katowice. And how much is it going to cost? This and that. And he was so happy. And he
Yeah,
kicked some
yeah.
ass at that tournament.
Yeah,
He
no, he did
actually
really
did
well.
great. And we were like, wow, this is a breakout party for Ragnarok. So
Damn.
those are the things you can kind of do to motivate. It's not all about money, but it's opportunities for them. Even if
You
they're
know,
not quote doing well.
no, I like that. I like that a lot because being fresh off of watching The Last Dance and seeing what happened to Scottie Pippen is you're a much better man than
Yes, exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we'd love to keep him, but because of the visa thing and it's expired, and he wanted to do new opportunities. So
Hmm. All right. Um. Okay. I actually want to ask you guys about running tournaments because I feel like this is a very modern uh team thing to do because if I look way back at the beginning, right, it's like to the old teams from like 2010 2011, that era, I don't feel like that was part of the business model or the advertising model of most teams. Occasionally EG would put on things, but they were kind of like a bigger company in a lot of ways that
yes,
had their
yes,
fingers in more pies. Whereas I feel like your guys' teams, it feels like it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's part of the strategy overall is to, it's like a more active approach maybe in making content about your team and
absolutely.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
If you
no,
guys could just
that's
talk about that. Yeah.
absolutely. If you don't mind, I can start on that one.
Yeah.
So when I went to Cheesadelphia one with we had NoRegreT on our team. It was the first Cheesadelphia. I was like, this is great. We should do one, right? So it was more,
Mm,
let's just try it out. And then we built some notoriety with the Storm Cups. And so you do get content, you do get additional exposure. You spend a lot of money though. I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
if you do some online events, it may not be as much, but the frequency of that can cost a lot. But the thing that really costs a ton of money is the LAN events because you got to get
Mm,
the venue, the prize pool enough so that people travel to it. You're never really going to make enough money from tickets or whatever, unless you charge really high, right? So, but it's a loss leader for the company, but I think it's a worthwhile effort,
mm.
especially given you get a lot of exposure.
Yeah. Okay.
Plus, putting the point of the tournaments is putting on events for the community,
Mhm.
and any amount of money that you throw into a prize pool or towards the community in general is always helpful and always like everyone's gonna thank you, whether you're going for thanks or recognition or just helping out the community. It's always appreciated. So
Hmm. So it's kind of for you guys. It's kind of like about building the brand and all that.
For some, for me at least, when I hosted the Grandmaster Free For Alls, it's something that was new. Like, well, not really new, but nobody was really doing free for alls, and I was
Mm.
talking to Zodium, and him and I were talking as if 4v4 Grandmaster duke it out, and he suggested, well, what if it was a free for all, and I thought that was a great idea. Imagine if we got someone like Winter to cast that, and
Mhm.
got a bunch of Grandmasters together, and that's essentially how that gets started, and even other events like Pro versus Joe's, another one I hosted. I ripped it off from Winter. I'm not gonna lie, and full credit goes to Winter. As far as I'm aware, like I'm ignorant in this, so I apologize. But he was one of the first ones that I'm aware of that was doing it. And one that really caught my eye was Jim Rising versus Joe's, but he always gave them one chance. So I thought, and if it was a quick game, they cheesed him and whatever, it wasn't too fun, but it was always fun to watch whenever Nina, formerly known as Puck back then, did it, or Jon Snow did it, and so it was
Mhm.
very fun. So I decided to message a couple of Grandmasters and see if they'd be interested, and I throw up $50, if they win, but they have unlimited retries. But um, the and the only rule being is no double worker rush. Like 24 workers counter 12, no matter how weak you are.
Yeah, yeah, that
Um,
makes sense. That makes sense.
so essentially, give them unlimited retries, or until they give up. And if they win, then they win money. And for the Joes to participate, the Grandmasters have to give them at least a little bit of advice, some tips, some hints, just something in return. So it's always a quid pro quo kind of deal.
Hmm.
You help them, they'll play with you, kind of thing. I'm always willing to put money up for it. Even other events like the Team League, where I had Psystorm versus Root Gaming. Like Team Leagues weren't too active at the time, or at least on
Mm.
a higher tier level. So I decided to throw two big teams against each other. The score shows it being one-sided, but it was not a one-sided
It
event by no
was? No,
means.
I thought we won by one game. That it
Uh,
was one sided.
it was 9-1 the end score,
Oh, well, I
but
don't know. I just know we won, but that's
but
Mhm.
crazy. You remember that? That's good.
and that's the
Sorry,
thing. Like,
cats. Cats is on the thing.
but again, it wasn't one-sided. If you watch the games, those like
Yeah, yeah, of
Vibe versus
course.
True, that was an insane game. The 4v4, Cats, Puck, Vibe, and who was the last one? I forget. There's some minor details I forget. Versus Jon Snow, Silky, etc. It was an outstanding event.
Mm.
So like I try putting those on for community to watch. It's always fun to enjoy, and to try and maximize its popularity, I asked Jim Rising to cast if for the Spanish casters. I asked Nathanius. He forgot he agreed to it, so there was a little thing going on there, but it was a great thing. And like even to this day, we're still friends, and even with Winter, he wanted to cast it. Everybody was very interested, and it turned out to be a very successful event. Raised, I think, $600 for it, or $400,
Oh, nice.
because people were just
Uh-huh.
wanting more and more of it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't have the funds myself to keep supporting that, so I
Mm.
tried
Yeah.
organizing another one, but it didn't work out.
Mhm.
And many other events. So it's always good to try and give into the community and listen to them as well. I have a public Discord where I take all the advice. Like I don't always do it, but I at least listen to it, acknowledge it, ask, hey, what are some issues you see with it, and
Mhm.
see if we can troubleshoot it. Try and create more events. In fact, we may even have another one on the way coming out soon, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah, if you don't
Cool.
mind, Dan, I'm gonna add to
Yeah,
that because I know he
please.
has a lot of online. There's a lot of online tournaments, and it's a
Mhm.
different beast to do online and LAN. As Cobra here knows, he has your production going. At live at a LAN event. That's insane. It costs a lot more money, but it's super stressful. So the business case there is local engagement and the local sponsors that you're targeting. So for us,
Ah.
that's why we do the Storm Cup events, right? They're all local. We've had maybe one online one, but it's not really a Storm Cup. But as far as
Mhm.
local events, that's the challenge. The venue cost. I mean, some places charge you 5-10 grand, right?
Wow,
So we
yeah.
generally don't because they have to clear out the business to host you if they're a LAN center, for example, right? So they will charge you something. So, and then the setup and all that, but the business case there is really for sponsors, at least for us, is to provide a series of events and show growth and an actual plan, a
Yeah.
long-term plan. So that's how we were approaching the Storm Cup events, which have been pretty popular in terms of the players. It's very different for us too. When we run the event, we're targeting. We know the pros are going to be there and they're going to win money, so I don't care about them. Sorry,
Yeah.
but it's more about the casual players. I
Yeah.
want them
Yeah.
to have fun, so I keep it cheap. They show up, they have fun, and then the games aren't, oh, you lost 2 games, you're out, right? 2 series, you're out. I
Mm.
made it so that it's like it's a Swiss format, so that way they get to play more, right?
Yeah.
In fact, they loved it so much they asked Cheesadelphia guys to do it one year, or one of the Cheesadelphia events, and they did it. They did it, but then of course they had to go back because they just had it's logistically a nightmare to do that, right?
Yeah.
But
Swiss
we
is
were
tough
able
to
to do
run.
it. Yep.
And
Yeah.
even online events, it's actually a struggle to host it. Like you'd be surprised, even if you're friends with the grandmasters, how hard it is to get 8 of them in a single spot at one time. Like there was one time I hosted one, and out of the 8, only 3 showed up. So and Winter was about to join the lobby, so I'm scrambling to get people, and Winter was when he realized scrambled to get some people, and it's sometimes a nightmare. It's usually stressful, but it's always rewarding in the end. So
Sure. Well.
That's how you got to have them there physically. They have to be there. That's why it has to be a LAN.
Well, if they
I
don't show
learned
up, you
not to
can't
pay them
scramble to get
beforehand.
anyone at that point at a LAN, though, can you? Miguel, we haven't heard from you as far as running tournaments as part of it, and it feels like that's a huge part of Alpha X. As I said, this week in StarCraft, I feel like I'm talking about at least 3 events you guys are doing each week, at least. So can you
Yeah,
talk about that a bit?
yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll have a lot of stuff that's help for sure. I really agree with NoRegreT when he says the important part is not really the amount of money you have, but it's to have a lot of events all days, to have in every time zone to have players who can play tournaments because it's a good practice for them, for viewers. It's even a stream with 20 or 30 people watching. It's really great for the community, I feel. So of course, the great tournaments with a lot of cash prize are really important for the pro scene, and we need them. But for the community, I think it's really important to have a lot of small tournaments with standard or not standard formats. For example, I hosted once a race wars, so it was 3 teams of 3 players, 3 Zergs, 3 Protoss, and 3 Terrans, and they competed each other in some kind of team league, and that was pretty fun to have a different format, and we had a lot of good players. I think this is really, really important. And that's also what we do with Alpha X. I mean, we have a lot of different formats of tournaments, some GSL formats. For example, on Monday, we'll have the Hot Streak number 4. So this is King of the Hill, etc. I think it's really important to have a lot of tournaments, even $25, even less. I mean, I had a player on my team that who left, but he hosted a tournament with even $1 for the winner. But he had a lot of Russian GM who played. He was a Russian player, and that's the important part. It's not the amount of money, but this one won $1, but it was a cool tournament.
I like that $1 and you're getting GMs to show up for it. That's great. Shows how competitive people really are at that point.
I mean, even Cham says 50 cents is 50 cents. Money's money. He'll take it. He'll play
Yeah.
for it.
I mean, if you're going to be playing all day anyway, right? You may as well play in the tournament and get some practice in that way.
50 cents you didn't have before, so.
Yeah. You guys, like, I don't know how to ask this question exactly. It's like kind of what I want to know is like almost like a percentage. It's like having a team of players versus running the events. Like you're using both, like they're like entwined, right? To kind of get the community involvement going, to build the brand, to help find sponsorships and all that. Is there like an area that you're aiming towards with that, like a balance between the two?
Not for me. It's just
No.
more putting games on. Like, players could use more of the events. The community loves seeing these players play, and the lack of focus I find is on the semi-pro players to GM players. Instead, most people focus on top 40, which is great, like those players work the hardest they can to be at the StarCraft 2 Elite, but some of the best games come out of the semi-pro, amateur, Even like the overall GMs, like master players as well, like they just put on amazing games and pull off styles that shouldn't work, but they do. So
Yeah. I get you. Yeah, that's always been something that I've mentioned to people in the past, because it, like, people really do focus so heavily on the very, very top, but a lot of really entertaining StarCraft is actually lower than that, between evenly matched players. Like, it's
Yep.
going to be terrible to watch Maru versus GM number 100, but GM number 100 versus GM number 101. Oh, that can be a sick game right there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I hosted a lot of Diamond tournament with the Junior Star League in the past, which is a really nice tournament organizer. We to make tournament for Platinum players and for Diamond players, and it was some of the best game I ever casted, because it's playstyle we don't used to see and which still works. And if the two players have the same level, we don't care if the game are a bit slower. Obviously, it's not as beautiful as Cleanse Micro and Amazing Split, but we can still have a really nice game, and it can be really fun actually.
Yeah. All right. Did you have something to add there, KJ? I thought you were gonna.
I think I misunderstood your question on balancing between players and events. Maybe it was a
Yeah,
business
like, I guess
question.
the focus.
Or
Yeah, kind of like the focus for the organization. Like, is there?
got it. Yep.
Yeah,
Sure.
like,
So,
what percentages you're kind of like aiming for? Because it's kind
yeah.
of
So
like
that
this new. Yeah.
no. Okay. I get it. So
Mhm.
that obviously that's changed since we started to now, right? Uh, we've had a giant roster. We've cut down a bit because of the ROI, and that isn't really there, right?
Yeah.
You could take the splice approach when they were around, right? They take just 2 or 3 of the best and keep that just to the salary or whatever they're supporting, and that's a lot cheaper than running a ton of players and events. You know what I mean? So it's a different type of approach that they did. I'm not saying that's exactly what they did. That's what I think they're doing, right? Based on what we're
That's
seeing.
what it looked like,
Yeah, at least for
basically. Yeah.
StarCraft. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So for us, we're going to continue to have events, and we want to represent with some players. It may change where we have maybe 1 or 2 players only, top notch, right? And then just keep doing some events, because we do want to expand into other games, and we have expanded into other games. We spend a lot of money on our heroes team. We bought them a visa, flew them all the way here, got the team house ready, supported them for many months, and then boom, the heroes thing died. So also like,
Yeah.
guys,
That's rough.
we lost a ton of money on that one, but
Yeah.
you gotta try to expand to other games. I mean, we can't get into League of Legends because that's a gazillion dollars to buy that into that. Overwatch, I tried. I messaged as soon as I heard there was going to be an Overwatch league. I reached out to a ton of the Blizzard folks, and of course, I'm not Robert Kraft, so we found out later what they were doing was they were courting Robert Kraft, so then they can get all the other big guys to buy into the $20 million. I didn't know how much it cost. I just said, hey, I
Yeah.
want in.
Sure.
I want to know how much it is. Give me a media kit, some sort of sponsors, investor kit. Let me know what it is. I can raise the money and figure out. I figured it'd be like a few million, but it ended up being 20 million. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that is a lot. But still, it would have been nice to know, and then start the investment effort on them to get a group of financiers, not just a few people, but an actual concerted effort to do all that.
Yeah, that's really rough. Sorry to hear about the heroes foray going
Yeah, that
sour.
really sucked.
That
Those
was
are good guys. That was
that
fun.
was
I
a
started
dark
playing
time.
Heroes after that, but
I
this is
loved
a
that game,
StarCraft
to be
show.
honest. That's one of my
Oh
favorite
yeah,
games
that's
of all
right. You
time.
did the Heroes at the dorm thing. That's right.
Yeah. I love that game. It's too bad. Um, actually, you mentioned visas, and I did want to kind of talk about True and
Sure.
how that went down, because I felt like that was one of the more interesting things that occurred.
Oh yeah.
He was quite a strong Code S player. He made a big splash. Uh, you guys got him a visa to act,
Yep.
because, guys, I think the general scene might not quite understand, like, the region
How that
locking is
works.
pretty damn strict,
Yep.
and these guys needed to get True an actual correct visa, and he had
Yep.
to move, and he had to drop out of Code S, and
Yep.
there was like a certain time frame. So if you could just talk about that a little bit, because I think
Sure.
people have no idea
That's
how
a story.
complicated that actually was.
Of course, of course. So that took a lot of coordination, also with Blizzard, because obviously Blizzard had to bless it and provide the necessary, documentation of him being legitimately allowed to have a P1 visa, right? So we worked with that. We worked with Esports Heaven, and Joe Lagadish helped us out there too. I said, hey, can you write me a letter for True that he's worth it, because he had a media thing there too. So we did that, and then the whole visa application process. Obviously, there's a cost there, the timing of it, and that took so long. I think that was 7 months. And at the time, I was about to rent a team house just for him. And I'm glad I didn't, because it got delayed 7 months, and I would have paid an insane amount of money, right?
Yeah.
And so that took so long that he almost gave up. You can probably see it on his WCS Signature Series video. I think he mentioned that he was about to, or his parents were saying give up, right? And we talked through it, and I tried to keep him motivated while he was in Korea. Now, obviously, he had to drop out of Codes. He played that thing, and then he dropped off. Right? He won, and then he had to make a choice. I said, hey, you need to be here because the season starts here. You need to be here for, I think it was like a month or so, to be in the U.S. before you can actually compete. So I was coordinating on that with I think it was Yo Goliath and a couple other people with the Blizzard StarCraft group, right?
That's
So
Adrian Harris for people who don't know.
yeah, and it's the same thing with the heroes. We had a different lawyer handle all that. But we had a lot of like visa issues. Like that's not easy, right? With True, you can tell we had a ton of problems there. The heroes one took a while, took a lot of badgering. Damon took that responsibility and panic switched, right, with our heroes guys, because we had 4. I mean, that's 4 times the complications, right?
Yeah.
And then we worked on Ragnarok's. His also failed to come through, and it didn't work. I guess it didn't get approved, and he did have some issues with the local law people there, or his local agency. So he gave up. So that sucked. He could have been here, right? And I would have loved for True and Ragnarok to be practicing. That would be a ZVZ nightmare right there. I think they would have been awesome playing.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. But yeah, at one point we did have 5 successful P1 visa licenses or whatever visas, and a failed 6th one with Ragnarok.
It's too bad for him, but yeah, that was. I mean, this is from a long time ago, but did you think that how did you feel about him having to drop out of Codes at that time? Because when that happened, I was like, guys, I don't think this is correct. I think he should be able to play both. This seems silly. Like I was not a fan of that decision from Blizzard on that.
Yeah, we talked about it, and obviously the rules were rules. We were hoping that both organizations, the GSL, whoever handles all that, and then Blizzard, would be agile enough to make a quick decision and ruling on that. But you knew that wasn't going to happen real quick, right? And then he made it. So I was like, wow, and he won. I was like, okay, great. The only thing we can do is fly him with a private jet, compete at GSL, come back, play his games here. It's obviously that's not possible. Unless you're Robert Kraft or Cuban again, like I said. So we had to make a choice, and he wanted to be in the U.S., and we didn't know how good he would be here. But the opportunity was here, and he wanted it. So whatever he wanted, really, it was him. He was the one that's going to decide that, not us.
Right. Now I wonder if you guys can maybe all give some like behind the scenes ideas for the people, how these running these teams actually works, because I feel like there's like a lot here, because we kind of like skimmed around the whole edge of owning teams during this conversation, and like poked in a little bit. It's like, okay, there's events, and there's new players, and there's like pro players. Oh, here's this cool visa thing, but like the behind the scenes working within these organizations, I just wonder if you guys can tell us a little bit about what that's like.
Well, I think the most impressive thing, I think, for someone who do not know, is how many people can work on the same project. For example, for a tournament, you will have someone who will be looking for sponsoring, but you will have the people who will admin and check with the players, the designers. No one talks about the designer, but they're really important, because without them, it's not possible to advertise. And you also have specialists of social medias, who will advertise the tournament, casters, the Liquipedia team who make a wonderful job, and we do not talk enough, I feel, about them. So it's really impressive because when we host tournaments in Alpha X, most of the tournaments you have really different people. You can have 4, 5, or 6 people working on the same project. So each one has a really specific task. So you have the one who designs the banners and stuff for the tournament. You will have the admin who will manage the players, the caster, etc. Someone who will advertise the tournament when it starts and before, etc. So it's a lot of people working behind the scene, and no one really heard about them. But we have a lot of staff, and I think the other team too.
Well, when it comes to let's say if you're starting up a team and you want to recruit players, I'd say like don't expect the world of it, but like set realistic expectations. If you want grandmasters, message them. Most grandmasters have their DMs open. They're very friendly people. They're always happy to talk to people who are fans, and they always want to represent something. And even then, if you feel not comfortable getting GMs or don't have anything really to offer because you can't, especially during the COVID, then it's best to start a community team. The community will always have your back as long as you're doing what's right for them, and you can always try hosting different events. Ask if let's say a team league. Ask if teams want to put up $50 each. And do a best of 5. Put up 5 members of a community side. And it's always good to at least try. Trying is the best thing you can do, and it's really no one can ask more of you if you try your best. And it's doesn't hurt if you fail. If you fail at doing what you tried, like at least you tried.
But
So
DreKit, why are you saying being all motivational, man? You were part of that letter that discouraged people from having a team. What's wrong with you?
I didn't discourage the team.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But
We'll
he's a
definitely get into that.
motivational guy, right? Like you can see here. So that's cool. All right, to answer your question,
That's well
Dan,
said.
obviously with the team, there's a ton of things going on. We probably have to go to something, especially if you have a team house, for example, right? There's little nuanced things that you don't realize, like logistical things of who gets what bed, who gets the choice of the bed, who gets the choice of the bedroom.
That's a good point.
I want
yeah,
that
sure.
one, right? Obviously, when True got it, the team house was built for True, so he got the first round draft choice, kind of thing, right? And then you gotta consider food. So and so doesn't like this food and this and that, and travel, logistics, keeping him entertained. I went to basketball and took Trues on basketball things just to keep him exercising and interested. You know how the U.S. is. It's not like it's Korea where you can take a train and go wherever you want. You need a car. So
Yeah.
I had to teach him how to drive. I gave him my car, like, hey dude, let's go driving. And I have videos of that. We were driving. It was scary. Like the dude does not know about momentum and making a turn, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why aren't you braking? I thought I was gonna die. Those kind of things. And Hydra messaged me. You guys remember Hydra? For some
of course,
reason, he I think he let him drive when True went back to Korea for a break, and he says, KJ, I let him drive. It was so scary. I'm like, I know. And those are the kind of things you consider when you're dealing with the players physically, right? In person. So there's a ton of stories on that, but it's just, I'm sure Katz can relate. He had a team house for a while too, so
yeah.
He still owns one, doesn't he?
I don't know what's going on with Katz. We need to have Katz on the show. Has he ever been on the show, Dan?
No, Cats? Who's Cats? I don't even know who that is. I actually didn't even think of bringing him on here. That's kind of funny.
So he's a cool dude.
Yeah. That's hilarious that you taught True how to drive. That is not what I was expecting to hear.
I took him go-kart too. I was like, you know what? I'm taking you to go-kart because you can crash here as much as you want. And people won't. People are like, oh, what the hell is this guy doing? So I have videos of that too. I'll share that sometime.
Yeah, you should. That's hilarious. Actually, I have a question for people who are thinking about getting involved with this type of thing. A lot of people ask, like, oh, how can I get involved in esports? Should I be a caster? I like it so much. I'm not good enough to be a pro gamer or something. where can I get in? Uh, What kind of advice would you guys give to someone who would like to become involved, like whether through maybe starting their own team? I know that you just mentioned Dricket about, starting community teams and stuff, but maybe you could go a bit more in depth with that. But just like getting involved in the team scene in general, or maybe even getting involved with a team that already exists. How do people go about doing this? Because I mean, I personally, I wouldn't even know. I've been in esports forever, but if someone's like, Artosis, we want you to make a team, I'd be like, what? Like, how do you do that? I have no idea.
He'll ask Cobra.
Yeah, that's basically.
For the most part, when it comes to joining a team, I mean, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. Like, if you don't know how to ask, go onto Twitter and tweet at them or inbox them. Ask people who may be on the team, hey, can I get in touch with the leader, or can I join? Or again, it's never a stupid question, unless you're like Juggernaut Jason, then it's just kind of silly. But if you're just if you're just asking, then it's simple enough to get a response. It's most teams respect people trying to get on, and they'll consider it. Whether you get on or not is a different story. And when it's a community clan, they're always open to expanding their roster. So
Yeah, from my own experience, in 3 years ago, I was not here. So I just came and I created a tournament myself, and it was catastrophe because I knew nothing about the game. But then a lot of people of the community contacted me, Sushi, the team owner, but also Kuro, for example, the admin of Cranky Ducklings, which is really great. And a lot of people actually want to help you if you want to get involved. So I kind of agree with GumiGod. You just have to contact people, then you will definitely will really fast be helped in order to grow.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so another way for you to get involved, this is how we got some people that are great contributors to our team involved, was you ask someone that's already on the team, right? So an example I have with that is Puppetry, you know?
Oh,
I
yeah.
believe Tempo messaged me and said, hey, I have a friend, I want him to be on our team, yada, yada, yada. He can help with streaming and all that. And I was like, what's his name? Puppetry Zelda. I'm like, what is that? So I said, okay, Tempo, I like
That's
you.
what I said
We'll
first
just go.
time I heard of him.
I know. I was like, let's, whatever it is, I let I trust you. You're a creative guy. Let's do it. So we added him, and look, it's another lucky thing for us because we have a string of bad luck, right? So sometimes we do get luck too. So
Yeah.
that's one suggestion I have. Approach someone that's already on the team. It got to a point though that a lot of people were messaging me directly, and obviously I don't have time to kind of go through that, and I feel bad. So what I say is like, hey, message Penguin. I just say message him. I just like get him to do the dirty work.
We
So
have a lot
it
in
was kind
common,
of funny.
man. When people
Yeah.
are like, "Oh, this such and such for the Pylon Show," I'm like, "Message Cobra." I'm not. I'm not the guy for you.
Exactly. You just redirect there. Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you get older, Dan, we know how it is, right? We start delegating and
That's that's it. That's it. Although I've been doing it my whole life at this point. So it's as simple as that. Then, if you want to become involved in teams, it sounds like your guys' teams in general are just kind of like so it okay, so if you want to get involved with like let's say Blizzard, right? That's like kind of a prestigious company. You have to go through this huge thing where you're trying to get involved and you you put in your application and maybe you get interviews, maybe you don't, and it's very tough to get a job there. Whereas it seems like your guys' teams are like more fluid and willing to work with people and grow and change immediately. Is this accurate?
let's be honest. It's we get a lot of free work, right? You want that.
Mm,
Blizzard can't take free work without the liabilities, as a corporation, right? So you know how that is. So
ah,
for us, a lot of us are clubs up to a certain point. Then you start worrying about liabilities. So
gotcha.
definitely just reach out directly.
yeah,
Yeah.
teams are always like at least I'm speaking at least on behalf of Team Exxon. Like we're happy to work with just about anyone, to be honest.
Mm.
Like it's always good to help out like casters, community players. Doesn't matter, we're happy to play. We're happy to help.
Yeah, well, from my own experience, I mean, when I came, everyone trusted me really fast and helped me really fast. So really, I think if someone wants to come and is not sure, should am I really deserving this? Yes, just come and you'll find things to do and you're welcome here. It's a great community.
Cool. Cool. All right. I think I'll shift the talking just a little bit about something that came up recently. You know, this whole it's a little bit of a drama
Yep.
going on.
Not sure what you're talking about.
If I didn't bring it up,
No idea.
people would be like, "What are you doing?" Like, you know, it's just the news is a little bit too big. So, uh, Blizzard announced a team league in which, so it's going to basically be like 9 casters, I believe, um, and they're going to draft players onto teams, and the teams are going to play each other. And this is funded. It's like $150,000 funding from the war chest specifically. So it's like, you know, obviously the war chest portion of that goes towards funding esports types things. This would be an esports type thing. So this was announced recently, and for people wondering, I'm not involved with that team league at all. Uh, they did actually offer me to be one of the casters, but I turned it down. But looking at it, right, you guys wrote like an open letter. I actually read it through your Twitter, KJ, where uh, it wasn't really a complaint so much, but talking about how it's like, okay, this is a team league. It has nothing to do with the teams that exist. This type of thing. Can you just kind of like summarize for people
Sure.
Well,
what's
Yeah,
going
go
on
ahead.
here?
Sorry,
It's
go
kind
ahead.
of a
Go ahead.
no worries.
big
I was gonna
subject,
say
I guess.
before we really hop into it, I do want to at
Sure.
least mention like the teams aren't against this idea at all. Like, in fact, we're happy that money's getting thrown into StarCraft for events. Like, this is honestly amazing. We're excited. We're happy that this is going on. The only issue is and a lot of people will point out, yes, the wording, but a lot of the teams were already talking when it came to lack of team support, and it's not like we're asking for money by no means. Like, teams aren't out here to make money in StarCraft. If you expect that, you're in the wrong area.
Yeah.
but but we're more so looking towards suggestions that could at least help branch out the teams, to help us get sponsorships, to help us at least say to companies like, this is what we can participate in, this is what we can advertise in.
Mhm.
Like, just even participating in a qualifier helps. um, and we're just happy that Blizzard wants to throw money back into the community and help continue the server. So this is a great thing all in all. The last thing we want to do is get anything canceled or backlash towards it. And if that's what we did, then we messed up. Like, it's simple as that. But um, all we want to do is at least raise awareness for lack of team support.
Okay.
And that's a
Yeah.
good point. It's really list of suggestions to help with, thinking about the teams a little bit more. Now, granted, that was a marketing or word choice thing that initiated that, but by no means that's the main complaint. Although we probably could have written it better. So the way that came about was I tweeted about it as soon as I saw Fear Dragon's retweet. I got all excited. I read it and I was like, "Oh, it's not a team league. Darn it again!" So of
The
course I
team league's
expressed
not a team
displeasure.
league.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, "Well, so what's the point of a team, man? We can't even get our jerseys right sometimes, unless it's our guy that's been there forever, right?" Uh, so then I just voiced some displeasure. Then, and I heard other people were talking about it, other teams, and they messaged me, "Hey, we have a Discord, come join." So I joined in. I saw what they were writing, and obviously we want to have a joint, unified message. Everyone has different concerns, but it has to be written well enough that it addresses the major ones. We can't please every team. Every team's different. Someone made a comment on Team Liquid. Haha, Team Liquid didn't sign that garbage. I'm like, we didn't ask Team Liquid because they don't need this. They're a giant team, right? This is not relevant to them. So people think they know, but they don't really know what's going on. So all we're doing is raising awareness of things that can be done to help teams. Now, whether or not these will happen, that's fine. It's more cathartic that I sent that. I was like, okay, let me just. No, actually, the team asked me. They all asked me, KJ, can you post this? I was like,
Mhm.
I thought about it. I was like, man, do I want to be the face of this thing? And so I read it and I was like, oh, can we change some things here or there? Can we make it a little bit more, diplomatic, that kind of thing? But after we agreed with it and it came out okay, because Dan, you told me it seemed
Yeah.
reasonable.
I,
It was,
I
but
read it. It seems.
some
It
people read
seems.
it and they were
Yeah.
really mad. And of course, they have their positions related to it. They're affected by it. So I can understand that they would have, they would feel a little bit of, it's natural, right? Honestly, I'm way past it. It was over my mind 2 days ago. It's more of a,
Mhm.
okay, guys, here it is again. Us, so to me,
Mhm.
if something good comes out of it, great. But I by no means don't want to. I want to. There's a lot of great casters. They deserve the money, but ultimately, it's really for players. If you can support players, if teams are there, they already support players, and you can support teams. It just goes complementary to everything, right? It's an ecosystem of things. So if you don't have the teams, it's hard for us to sell to sponsors if we don't have the numbers, if we don't have the events, if we don't have legitimacy, than just a
Mhm.
bunch of social clubs that are starting teams with their little online $50 cups. That is not
Mhm.
a compelling reason for investors to jump in. And let me
Mhm.
let me just correct one more thing that NoRegreT mentioned here. If you're in StarCraft, you're not gonna, you're in the wrong place to make money. I would say it's different. StarCraft is a great place if you want to put money in it and get the return on actual quality demographics. And these are high level people
Yeah.
with, mature with money. These aren't Fortnite kids with no money, that kind of thing. This is quality
It's a good
people with
distinction.
money to spend. And
Yeah.
I have a lot of business owner friends that follow StarCraft, and we talk about it. This is a great it's it's one of the best demographics, to be honest. And so if you look at it from that positive aspect, it's the best ROI. It's a springboard towards your team, and then moving up to other games where you quote unquote get the numbers. That's how
Yeah.
you got to look at it from the investment perspective. So I just want to end it with on that it's not a bad thing. It was just a list of suggestions. We're not attacking anybody. I'm a Wardy subscriber. I love Wardy. You know, it might be a little awkward because he thinks I maybe because he never really responded to a couple of things in there with me. But honestly, I've stated that it's all positive, whatever, as long as it goes towards the players and the community and StarCraft, because those are the three things we love.
Mhm.
And another thing as well. Sorry, Miguel, if you're gonna speak up. Um, like I don't know if anybody also watched Beastie Cutie's take on it, but he also raised a lot of good points. He's relatively unbiased on this topic. Same with Winter. And Beastie Cutie also asked one question: is what's the point of these teams to exist? Like, you can ask, or you can say, well, for the community, and that's awesome. Like, the community is the best that there is, and that I've ever seen in any game. But at the same time, what goal are we aiming for? And like, a lot of the problems were like teams like Ents not having enough players. But it's because why do they need more than Cyril? Like, if there was a
Mm.
team league where, let's say, it was going throughout the year, like just not even $5,000, just something, and it would give them a reason to sign more players so they can participate. Um, and it would give us a reason to at least strive for better, because we have an actual goal to attain. We have reasons for being around. We can at least also, like, teams as well, with the backing that we do have. We're the type of teams, Storm, Alpha X, Team Exxon, Archangel, where we try and support the semi pros, because the pros aren't going to be around forever, and there's got to be someone to replace them. And Beast even pointed out, like, Rainer was on his team at one point, and like, Rainer back then needed, well, didn't really need, but like the team sponsored him to go to events. And the question he asked is, would you think that him and his father going to the events would have went if they themselves had to pay with no incentive going? Maybe, maybe not. But the
Much
question still
less
remains
likely,
that
at least.
maybe not. But like,
Yeah.
at least the team was there to support him. And had the team not been around, would Rainer be where he's at today? Clem's another good example of that, and that's some of the issues we raised up.
Yeah, that's a very good point. There's things that indirectly teams do help the small teams towards the goals and development of any upcoming player that eventually becomes like Rainer, right? So definitely some good stuff there. And we're not here to cause problems. These are just suggestions so we can be heard by
Mhm.
whoever organizes them. So they think about, can we help? Yeah, we could do that. Why not? Right? That's all it is. And like I said, if nothing happens, at least we put that out there. It's not a negative. I don't want to see it to be seen as a negative thing at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, I think we're all excited by this tournament actually. We didn't criticize Wadi at all. I mean, Wadi did a lot for team, so we can only thank him for everything he do. And well, I'm not gonna repeat what KG and NoRegreT said because I agree and they will say it better than me. But I think it's really important to say that it's not, it's not the negative. We don't want to criticize anyone, and this tournament looks actually really sick. But yeah, I think there are some things they wrote on the letters that were really great. For example, some maybe mercs in game with a team spray, for example, that could be great. We could imagine that.
Exactly.
I think that could be things we could think with Blizzard if they want to involve in another way than this tournament. I mean,
Yeah, I agree with the things that you guys are saying. I read what you guys posted. Obviously, there's a post about it. I read it via Twitter first, and then I read this. I can't remember because I read them on 2 different days if they're exactly the same or not. But then Sugar posted one on actual StarCraft Reddit. And I mean, it's all some reasonable ideas from you guys, and I totally get that you're trying to make sure that this isn't some negative drama shit show, where it's like it's always good to have more tournaments for the players and everything. But I think it is an important thing to mention about the what teams do for that kind of semi-pro scene, because the top pros, while obviously they want to be on teams and they want to have salaries and that kind of gives them a lot of stability, it's those semi-pros, and it's very important to have a healthy ecosystem for them, which I would say that teams are a huge important part of, and not just for being on the team, but also the tournaments that you guys run that help them to get their name out there and shown that they've actually done something to win a little bit of extra pocket money. And if I could compare this to the Korean scene, because this is something we've been talking about for years, in the Korean scene we have almost no strong amateurs. It's barren out here. Uh, like, is there one Korean team that's sponsoring the lower level players? No, I don't think so. Like, maybe I'm missing something, but I don't think that there is. And I can name maybe 10 up and coming Koreans that can become real full-time pros at some point. Whereas in the foreign scene, it's like, oh my God, there's so many. There's so many great players that are still coming up here. And the teams do help with that. And I'm trying to think, right? Here's a comparison where, like, if you look at some of these other games, there are pro games, and there have been pro games in the past where there's only the pro level and there's really no support underneath it, and it gets really weird because of that. I felt like, and I'm sure people are gonna like try to point out places where I'm wrong here or something. It was like, well, no, technically there was this and that and the other thing, but like Warcraft 3, for instance, for a long time, the top 16 at every tournament was exactly the same, and I'm just like, what? Like, isn't this weird? Shouldn't there be some rotation of pros here? And I feel like in StarCraft 2 we do have that, right? We do have players that are rising up and doing well through these smaller tournaments, and then eventually they hit the big stage and do something a bit more. And I don't know. It feels like teams are a big part of that, but don't get very much love.
I do feel that if teams were, not that it would ever happen as far as I'm aware, but if teams ceased to exist in StarCraft, I feel the same fate would befall in StarCraft, and it would be essentially the same matches over and over, just on new maps and different patches.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if you're talking about player development, for sure you're correct there, Dan. But as far as top level um, players and big teams, how many are there as far as international super teams like Team Liquid, right? How many?
Yeah,
There isn't a whole lot.
Jin
So
Air is around, and
Jin
it's
Air,
like
of course,
very, very few. I don't even
very few, right?
And the numbers are
trying to
decreasing
think of
too.
another.
But if you take away where Chivo was, where they supported Sue, who's obviously
Yeah.
a super top player, So there's there's room for love on these things, because it's not like they only support the mid-level players. They do support the top tier players now, because there's in Korea there's no, there's not a whole lot of teams, right? So
Yeah, no, it's everyone's basically on like for top players, they're on Chinese teams now for the Chinese team leagues, and
and that's from
that's
the team league. So
yeah,
that kind of goes
it's
back to
very
what I
true.
was saying. If you build some support to it, things will naturally come.
Hmm.
Team leagues in China, the Chinese teams started happening. They started recruiting players. We signed a Hong Kong player to qualify to be allowed to play the Chinese team league. So because we wanted to be part of it. Money has nothing to do with it. I don't even know what the price pool is. We don't keep the money, right? It's for us to have something to talk about for our sponsors, that we're on this thing, we have this happening, we have these numbers, etc. Right? So especially on a Blizzard level, 150K official tournament, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I would love if ESL did, some sort of team standings on their pro points. You know how they have the EPT points? Group them by teams.
Hmm.
Guess what? Alpha X is kicking ass. They're the champion in terms of points. Something like that. We would have been there top, but we don't have that many players anymore, because we're kind
Hmm.
of holding back on a few of these things, because we're evaluating the viability of this and the support. I've been here for 6 years, right?
Yeah.
I'm not as energetic as I once was, throwing around as much of my time and money, right? So
Hmm.
that's all kind of compounding. So hopefully this makes a change.
Plus, a few points that were brought up was prize pool distribution, like how there'd be only 2 or 3 teams ever winning the event or getting to the end, time after time, which is fair. And they were talking about prize pool distribution in one conversation, and my question is, why couldn't they split or spread the prize pool out? Like, from why instead of the top 4, why not make it the top 16 teams? Like, everybody who participates at least gets something out of it.
Think they
So
did that. They addressed that on a lot of the tournaments already. They want to made
so
it not top heavy.
so it helps everybody,
Yeah.
and it contributes, and it's like, so the top team doesn't get all of it, and they get the best players in the end. They recycle it over and over again, and it's the same thing over. Like, you can at least spread out the distribution.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You know,
I
there.
want.
Oh, go ahead,
Yeah, I
Miguel.
just want to come from to what KG said, and it's really true. I think it's that when you create a team league and you put a cash prize, teams will born and others will recruit new players. So the actual money that will be added to the scene is more than the cash prize of the tournament. It's also more money from teams, more money for the existing teams. So I think this is pretty great overall for the not top tiers players, but the other ones, the upcoming ones. I mean,
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
you know what happened when the Chinese team championship or team league happened? All these free Korean players that were unsigned, they all got signed, and then everybody's asking price went up. When we were contacting, like, what? I was like, because the Chinese team was it drove the demand, right? So it's overall a good thing, and as you can see right there, those are specific examples of why I think it's a good thing. It's proven. If the Chinese team championship never happened, I couldn't say that. I'm like, oh, I don't know, maybe. But now because of that, I feel like
Yeah.
it's a legitimate argument.
Yeah, it feels like team league makes a team so much more important to be a part of. And really, if you think back to some of the golden years, two of my favorite things ever that don't really exist anymore was the old Warcraft 3 team league from way back, right? Like W3CL. That was so entertaining. That was such a great league that was going on. I think it was actually the most popular thing Warcraft 3 had. And then of course Pro League, right?
Yep.
Pro League was amazing in StarCraft 1 and then StarCraft 2 at least for a little bit we had it in GSTL of course, right? These are exciting things. It's like why isn't there a team league? Like why not? None of us know.
Yeah,
yeah,
and as well, with the incentive to with these team leagues as well, it gives us a lot more uh like drive to help out some of the bigger up and coming players. Like, even on Team Exxon, we have Spy and we have Ryan, formerly known as Dr. Ryan. Like, they're really coming through and trying to shine through, and they're doing the best they can, and we're doing the best we can for them. But with a team league, this gives them more practice, this gives them more chance to shine through, and overall just put on good games.
Yeah, actually, as far as team leagues, the online ones are definitely doable, right? So there was like the ANC Pro League, right, and a bunch
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
one-off team leagues. You know, Wardy had his team leagues. That was great.
Mhm.
As far as real not real, but offline team leagues like Pro League was, right? My theory in that is because it works in Korea. People can just hop
Yeah.
on subways,
That's so
$1, get
true.
in there, boom, done, right? How are you
Yeah.
gonna do that in the U.S.? That's really hard to do for physical offline pro league, but we can certainly do the online ones,
Yeah.
and that's where I thought this was a missed opportunity, or
Mhm.
not that it's a missed opportunity. Maybe I just misread it as, oh, it's not really a team league. I'm like, okay, fine. Maybe on the next one they can think about it, because if you fund
Yeah.
it that way, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, because it was kind of announced like as a team league. Terrancraft.com, great articles there. They put out an article, I think it was just this morning, that I checked out, and he mentioned Max did, the guy who writes for him,
Yep.
about how, in a lot of ways this is kind of like misrepresented, like it's mismarketed. What if it was just called like, there's this caster fantasy draft or something like that, right?
Yep.
Uh like, do you think that I don't know if you guys read the article. I know
I read
Trickett,
that.
you mentioned
Yeah,
you.
it was
Oh, okay,
great.
you guys did.
It was a
Would
Yeah.
you
really
like
well written
agree
article.
with?
He usually
Would
writes good stuff. So.
Yeah, yeah. Would you
Except
agree
for
with
his.
his assessment or?
sorry, sorry, I just jumped in there. He
No.
usually great stuff, except for I was gonna crack a joke about him wanting to slow down the game. I'm like, no, I
Yeah.
don't want to go back to
How
that.
many workers do you guys think? Let's talk about that forever. But what did you guys think about that? Like, as far as this is like maybe just mismarketed a little bit. I mean, it either way, I think it's kind of brings up this important point that there's not much official support anywhere for teams. But what do you think about the idea in the Terrancraft article about it?
I do agree it is mismarketed. Having it named Team League is 50-50. Like, it's technically not wrong, but it is wrong. Like, they're not official teams, but it is a team league, like casters form teams. And the only issue with that is like, if there was already support for existing teams, this honestly wouldn't even have been a hot topic, to be honest. This would have just been, yeah, great, another event, as everybody is. Like, we're always happy to see new stuff coming in. But
Mhm.
with it being the way it is right now, it was just a hot topic that pushed the teams to speed up their voice, like to speak out, saying the lack of teams. Like, a lot of us were already going to speak out already. This is just really what sped up the process.
Okay. Do you guys agree with
Yeah,
that or different opinion?
yeah, I've been speaking out about it, and when I was on another show a couple of years ago about there's nothing for teams. How can we do something, please? Or at the
Mm.
very least, can you keep the team logos up? You know, that's the
Mm.
only thing
Yeah.
we got left, man. Don't take that away from us. You know, that kind of thing. So for sure that was a catalyst, or actually maybe the last straw if you want to look at it as a negative thing, but it's not, right? But
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think,
yeah, sorry.
yeah, no, go for it. Go.
Yeah, I think some little, really small changes could be done. For example, look at the WCS interface in game. There are no team tags on the overlay, but in the on the game art one there is, and I think we should add it to the WCS one, because when we have our players competing, it's nice to see which team they are on. Well, that's my opinion. I don't know what you guys think about this, but I actually think it's a minor change that would be great.
Yeah. And even Winter pointed out, like, without any kind of push to show the teams, or at least for the players that participate for the teams, a lot of common viewers like that don't follow StarCraft religiously, like KJ and or Miguel and I, and most of them won't be able to list more than 3 to 5 separate teams, and we're really pushing that amount there. Like, where KJ, Miguel, and I can list 10, probably off the top of our head. And it's because we work with them, we're aware of them, and we're afraid that a lot of people aren't aware of the fact that there are community teams that, if they want to get better, they can join a community and practice with them. RNG Pro is a really good team, for example. Like, they help just about everybody out, and they ask for nothing in return. Risen is another good one, and a bunch of other teams that just want to help out the community.
Hmm.
So I feel like if there was at least some overlay, there could at least be some support to try and help out some of these community esports teams, just overall clans. Now, we don't see it as an overall realistic expectation for them to get every team possible inside the game, but at least a few, would be great. And Team League, winning some of them could be a good way to emphasize who gets it, who doesn't, or at least shout out some of the teams that didn't qualify.
Well, I don't see why not. Like, why you couldn't, if you're going to use team overlays, just have, if a player is a professional and they're on a team, why not have that as part of the thing, right? Like, I don't feel like your team needs to necessarily even win a team league to get that recognition. If you have a player that you're sponsoring and is on your team, yeah, right. It should just be there. I feel like, you know, I I'm definitely someone who's screwed up in this regard as well, where it's like I feel like there should be more. I try to mention, like, when I see, oh yeah, no, Splice is TY. Yeah, Splice, he's on a team. He's with, stats and Solar. It's great. Or Psystorm with those guys. But I feel like it's not made easy for people to see, I guess, which is what you're saying with the map. It's like,
Yes.
even me as a caster, I'll like scrub because it won't even say Psystorm on there, so I'll just keep saying Gumiho or something, right?
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
like, you just kind of fall into a rhythm, and then it kind of gets washed away, and it's almost like a tiny footnote that this player has a team that they're on that has sent them to this
Yeah.
tournament.
Actually, Dan, I noticed Korean players and Korean organizers are much better in treating teams because what I notice is Koreans, they always want to like take off the logo and show it, right? You don't have to
Mm.
tell them twice. I don't even have to tell them once. They're right on top of it. They say, I don't have my jersey. Let me just get on cage. They just know inherently. The GSL, as soon as someone made qualify, they ask, "Hey, can we get the logo? How do we say the name right? Can you do the phonetics?"
Yeah,
And
that's
they
true. Yeah.
they do all that. They take the extra effort. Now with say non Koreans in tournaments, they're just busy. I'm not blaming them. It's just the way they don't think about it. It's just an
Mhm.
afterthought, right? So they're busy with other things. They're not thinking about that. And then of course the players. I've had players that are non-Korean, many that I've had to yell at them like, "Why didn't you wear a jersey, man? What's the point of this?" That kind of thing. So
Mm.
they know how important that is. So I think it's just it's built into the Korean culture that it's teams and sponsorships. It's there. It's a business. It's work,
Yeah.
right? But here it's like with outside of that, it may not be as big of a deal. So
Mm.
And I also have to point out too, like there are casters out there that exactly like that they do a outstanding, perfect professional job at shouting out the teams. As pointed out in the comments, like Zombie Grub, Fear Dragon, Nathanius, Creighton Olsen, Steadfast, like Gosu PvP. They all do an amazing, fantastic job. And there are some casters that don't really want to name some for debate's sake,
uh,
but I'm sure most of the teams are aware, and we're more than happy to support the casters and bring the best players and have the players bring the best games for the casters that at least shout out a team at least
yeah,
once.
yeah, and it's not even about individual casters, individual events, individual players, or in specific things. It's really enabling and making that process easy, so it's automatically done,
Mm.
right? So if you just kind of make it so that the overlay's there and it's just a standard process, it's not really someone's fault per se, right? It's just we just don't make it as easy for them. It's already built into the system in Korea, as I had previously given you, examples, right? So.
Mhm. Do you guys think this is something that can be fixed going forward? Like, obviously, this is kind of like a new, fresh start within StarCraft. We're transitioning from the WCS circuit this year to the EPT circuit. Is this
Oh yeah.
something that you guys are like on top of, maybe talking with ESL about and trying to make sure that
Yep.
everything is as smooth as possible with your players?
And
Apollo is great at
yes.
Oh, it's
listening,
great.
right?
Yeah.
So he listens, he's in touch. So this is the perfect opportunity for him, because he has more authority rather than some big behemoth company like Blizzard. I got to go through this, and that, right? So he can
That's a good
certainly
point.
make those kind of changes quicker. So yes, I think positively there's a great opportunity here for some
And
change.
and the best part is, it's really not a hard fix. Like, all they have to do is just at least host some sort of event. Put a small prize pool up. We're not even asking for much or anything. And honestly, teams can honestly do the rest. Like Miguel and Alpha X, like they host a lot of team leagues just about every week. Like there's a
Yeah,
current
that's
ATL season going on, I think, for the next 15 weeks or something like that, or like
Yeah,
8
yeah,
weeks.
3 months maybe.
And we're very self-sufficient. Like we're professional teams for the most part, clans, community teams, and most of us are very outgoing and willing to put in our part. So
right. Yeah,
they just have to take the first step.
sure.
Yeah, some of them did, right? When we had the ES Champ show, and I had mentioned remember that team Meliora? When I
Oh
mentioned the
yeah.
thing about, hey, how come the jersey's wrong on so and so's team? Why did they do that? I mean, he's on Meliora now, right? Well, no one really bothered to change the picture, and because they're busy. As I said, sometimes people
Mm.
are busy. But what I noticed on the next tournament, they made a concerted effort to update so and so's jersey, right, from the old team to the new team. So it does happen. People do listen. It's just, as you know, StarCraft, the scene, and people are overworked. We only have 4 or 5 people at the Blizzard StarCraft group or whatever, right? As hinted on one of the threads. So we just gotta help them out, I think, to think about it. Be
Yeah.
positive. It's not really about you guys suck. You have to be a little bit more positive, even though your
Yeah.
statement may be seen as negative, as we've seen, right, by some. It's really trying to be positive about it.
No, totally. Criticism is important, and I think StarCraft is not in a place where anyone can act entitled right now. It's
Exactly. I mean, I'm always open to criticism, even
Mhm.
if it's like every negative comment I do read, and a lot of it I can work on, if it's legitimate criticism, constructive. If there's someone who suggests a better idea that's currently running, I'll take it.
Yeah, and Zombie Girl, I'm not talking about someone that obviously like dropped her sign within the same day. I'm talking about someone that was en route for a long time ago, and then it's been out of route for a while, and then showed up there still with the route jersey when he moved to Meliora or some other jersey. I'm not, obviously those are acceptable, right? They
Mm.
switched 1 or 2 days ago. This is someone that's been out of route or whatever jersey, whatever it was, for many months.
Mm. Yeah. Updating those stock photos just doesn't
Yeah,
occur. I
it's
guess.
hard. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to kind of go through and make sure you nail everything, I guess, when a new player goes.
Oh, sorry, you were telling someone in chat. I shouldn't read chat.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of criticism
Alright.
after my comment. I don't know what to say now.
They're just guys in the chat. It's fine. It's fine.
GM's in the chat.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Is there anything else you guys think that we have missed here? I've done my best to kind of grab all the things out of there that I was thinking about to ask you guys about. But is there anything else that we kind of missed, or you want to talk about in regards to any of these topics before
Yeah,
we go into Patreon questions? Yeah, please, please.
if you don't mind.
Looking for anything.
So I sent a link for a picture of No Regret.
Okay.
Which I
I
think you
love
guys
that
should
guy.
love this story, right? So
Ooh, a no regret
so
story. I'm ready.
because this is cool. So Jake. The funny thing with Jake is I didn't know who he was. Right? He messaged me, "Hey man, I'm No Regret, yada yada. I'd like to join your team." And I'm like thinking, "Who's this guy?" And then I was looking at the thing. I was like, "Oh, he's kind of cool," And then I liked the way he was explaining things, how he wanted to move to the U.S. and he was, something about him intrigued me. Right? Same thing that you guys saw. So I said, "Yeah, yeah, come move here. I'll support you. We'll get team house, etc." And then he finds out True was getting signs. I was like, oh, we're definitely going out all out on this, right? So Jake was great. We had him on our team, and then he ended up going to Korea too. He says, hey, I want to move to Korea and live there. I said, yeah, for sure. So just that alone, think about the repercussions of Jake moving to Korea
Yeah.
and what happened with the Korean scene, the team house, him coaching Scarlet, winning the gold medal, yada yada yada. All
Yeah.
kinds of stuff
Yeah.
happened
Running the
from
team house and
Jake's phone call. Jake
damn.
called me, and if I said nah, no, I don't know. Sometimes things happen. So think about it, guys. This is what Jerky was saying. I encourage you to reach out because you never know what can come out of it. You know, sometimes I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it, and things just happen. So I just wanted to bring up that cool story about No Regret because he was on us. He came second place at Cheesadelphia. We had some big plans to do this and that. So you know, little things, butterfly wings, you know, cause typhoon. Look what happened.
Yeah.
Now look, hurricanes affecting hurricane over there. So
Damn.
the actual player.
That's crazy, right? He's been in the GSL multiple times, coached with
Yeah, that
Scarlet,
changed the
as you
history of
mentioned.
StarCraft. That
He
if
has
you trace it all the way
the
back, who
house.
knows?
He's a
Who
GSL
knows, right?
caster. It's like he just
I know.
he
I
does
saw that. I was
everything.
like,
He does
wow,
everything.
Jake, you're casting now too. So
Yeah, the
you
guy
know,
does
he's a
everything.
good friend of mine. So visited
Yeah,
him in
mine
Korea.
too.
It was a lot of fun.
Damn. Wow. Excellent. I guess I do recall him being on with you guys like a long time ago, but
He wears his Size
so
Storm
much has
jersey, by
happened.
the way, so once in a while, which is really funny. I went to
Yeah.
visit GumiGod in Korea, and he had this Size Storm jersey. And we all took pictures, and they were like, "Oh, is Jake back with Size Storm?" You know, it was really funny. But he
Yeah.
was on another team back then, and I was like, "Your other teams get mad, man."
Oh yeah, I guess you wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Any other things that we should mention before going to the Patreon questions, guys? Anything we missed?
One last cool publicity thing that I
Please,
did. I'm
please.
sorry for
No,
doing
no,
that because I
I-
have 6 years of content.
Bring it.
And you gotta
Bring it.
understand. So there's one thing with Neeb. Check out Neeb. So this was at the last Storm Cup. So you know what we did to promote StarCraft? And I love StarCraft so much that I promote it so much, right? They're like, oh, where's Overwatch? Where's Fortnite? I'm like, no, we got something better. We got StarCraft, right? So I've been doing that. So I got my friend's Ferrari, and if you look at one of the pictures in there, the license plate says maybe.
Oh, Zergo P. Yeah, no, I know this.
No. That was my other car.
Oh,
I'm talking
okay.
about the other one. This is not my car, by the way. This is a friend's car.
I got it up.
Look at that. It says StarCraft. So you know we do a lot of cool things to promote, and they got to the local news and StarCraft and Esports, and people are finding out about it, and it's Neeb, of course. So you know, there's a lot of cool stuff that teams do for players in the game, right? And sometimes it doesn't make a difference, and sometimes it does. We don't know, but until you try. So I thought you guys would enjoy that.
Yeah, stuff like that gives you a nice feel.
Also, one other thing.
That was from a tournament, by the way, a Storm Cup LAN that we had, and there's so many people there, like 100,000 people, and it's not for our event, it's for a big music event, and they're like, "What is this?" And this is really funny.
Sick.
And
So
sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh no. Just one last thing I did want to point out is a lot of the teams as well. We don't have a lot of money, like the owners of it, the sponsors of it. Like KJ, you have a fair bit of money to your name, but
no.
But you know, it seems like
it's all relative, right? So obviously,
there
I put
you
in a
go.
ton of money into the scene, and that's not. I don't want to say you need to put a ton of money. It's the love and opportunities, and you eventually want to get sponsors to pay for that stuff, not you personally.
Because a lot of us work 9 to 5 jobs every day, and it's tough supporting a team, especially Team Exxon with the players that we have. It's really hard. It's like we're pushing it, but we're supporting it. We're able to, and it's because of the sponsors. And I don't think Team Exxon would be where it's at today if it wasn't for people like Daemonum Camo or companies like Tantalizing Terrariums, you know. So like otherwise we'd be in a lot of trouble, or we wouldn't have the players that we have. We wouldn't be able to support who would need the support. So that's just one last thing I wanted to point out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what it's all about with teams at the end of the day, right? Is getting sponsorships and being able to keep it going like that.
Yeah. And ET Bone Home, you can stay quiet.
I love his idea,
Cool.
by the way. It's the greatest.
He's
the greatest StarCraft
hard.
idea
He's
of all
trying
time.
To get me to crack. He's like that.
Yeah.
I love ET Bone Home. He's a sarcastic guy. Don't take anything he says seriously. It's funny.
Well, with a name like that, I don't. Don't worry.
The sarcastic war.
Like GGM and I. All right.
Yeah. GGM and I love it. That's perfect. All right. Well, I guess we can probably go into the Patreon questions. Anything else, guys? If anything comes up, you can mention it anyways.
Yeah.
All
Let's
right.
go to Kilo question. I'm sure we all have really interesting answers to this really interesting question.
Oh God. Well, I hope there's no sentient food questions, guys. If you want to leave a Patreon question, they're still open just for a little bit more. Last week we had like a record of questions. It was crazy. See if it's going to be as long. No, not quite as long this time. But guys, go ahead, check it out. Patreon.com/The Pylon Show. Or if you are already a Patreon, you can just go to thepylonshow.com to drop your question off there. All right. Question number 1 from Tommy Balls. Tommy Balls asks. The IDs are amazing that people come up with.
People are mocking me for not making dick jokes for those who know me, and this is just a funny name.
Are you having a hard time holding in? It's okay. The Pylon Show is rated R for everybody.
R for ridiculous.
Yeah, that's for sure. A greasy Tasteless appears in front of you. You notice that he's missing a pinky and he is not walking straight. His stained GSL suit jacket has cigarette burn holes and his eyes have darker circles under them than usual. He offers to trade his StarCraft ability for your pinky and big toe. Why is he so stupid? What is this question? Tommy Balls, man. What are we supposed to do with this? Like,
Hey, he's making the Patreon worth it. So that's
I
good.
know. My
I'll say
God.
yes.
Yes. Okay, that's a fair answer. Yeah. Okay. Well, why is he so stupid? Yeah. I think this has to do with a question we had last week about giving like your digits for better StarCraft skill or something like that. But thank you, Tommy Balls, for the wonderful questions. He's stupid because he's trying to take the easy way out at getting better at StarCraft, and then finds out that that's not the right way. It's kind of an allegory for his life playing Protoss. All right, thanks for the question, Tommy Balls. Foot4264 asks, if allowed to answer, had he not been involved with the match-fixing scandal, do you think Life would have continued his dominance and been in the discussion for the best player of all time? Also, what was the behind the scenes like when the arrests were made? Okay, yeah, I don't see why we can't answer this. So would his continued dominance have been in the discussion for best player of all time? I think that Life was pretty genius and pretty ridiculously good. So yeah, I think he probably would have been in that discussion for best of all time. I don't know what you guys think about that if you were Life fans back when he was still around, but I mean, just the fact that he played such an alternative style of Zerg, I think made him really, really exciting, right? Because he was kind of a very aggressive Zerg. We actually, like, we have some aggressive Zergs, right? Well, we've already talked about True, you know, there's like Bly, but these guys don't win championships, whereas Life did, right? Like, Life was winning the big shit. So I think he would have been in the talk for that probably, right? Like, if his career hadn't ended.
I feel had it
Ashley.
not. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I feel as if it had not happened. I do agree he would have been dominant, but I do feel that a lot of the players would have been able to at least get up to a better skill level comparative to his. The same way Cyril is right now, very dominant. But it's not like he's at like he was in 2017 or 18. I can't remember, where he won every event essentially. Where now he's starting to lose events. We're starting to see cracks, but he's still a very dominant player, and respectfully so.
Yeah, there's a second part to the question saying also, what was the behind the scenes like when the arrests were made? When he got arrested, I believe he actually was supposed to play GSL that night. I'm trying to remember; it was a long time ago, and I was told at work before the cast that like this was going on, but it wasn't 100% like that. We knew that people were guilty and exactly what was happening. But it was kind of like, oh shit, not again. Because I was out here when
Yeah.
the stuff with Savior happened in StarCraft 1 and everyone got busted. Like, I moved out here before that and then lived through that. And then it was like, are you fucking kidding me? The best Zerg in the world again? Like, how is this? Yeah, it was
Someone keep
kind of
an
like
eye
a
on Cero.
nervous.
Marine King Prime was mixed up in that, wasn't he?
I believe he was exonerated, but there was like a ridiculously suspicious game where he saw
Yep.
shit and canceled a building and was going 3 commands against a fucking creep outside his base. But I believe they exonerated him for that. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. I hope that answers the question as best we can. Foot. Thank you for asking. Right. Paragleber asks, how do you feel about the merchandise that is available for StarCraft, especially t-shirts? In my opinion, Blizzard is doing a very poor job in this regard. There are so many cool designs you could make with StarCraft characters and units, but only 1 to 2 different shirts are sold by Blizzard each year. I agree with your assessment, Paragleber. I think that a lot of the shirts that get made for StarCraft, like every year at BlizzCon, right? There's
Weak.
merch for every game. And I look and there's like all these great shirts for all these other games. And then there's like a fucking picture of a spaceship for StarCraft. And I'm like, what? Like
Yeah,
that's
sometimes
I know,
there,
right? We're
there are
ready to
some
spend
great.
money, man. I ended up buying Overwatch stuff. So
I know, yeah.
Yeah, but there's some great t-shirt for StarCraft. I mean, the Hydra one is so amazing. I have the Hydra one. I love
Oh
it.
yeah. Those the gray ones, you mean, right? The gray one with the Hydralisk on it? Yeah,
Yeah,
those
exactly.
3 I bought. Those were good ones. Those were good. I like those ones. But in general, I think that I don't know. I like understated shirts a lot of the time, personally, for this type of thing. I have a big Zerg symbol shirt, not that one because I think that's
the red one,
team
get the
jersey,
red.
but yeah, I have the red one. I have the red
Yeah,
one,
I
but
have 2 of those.
yeah. But yeah, I think they could do better. I don't know. I look at the Overwatch shirts. They have 6 shirts for Overwatch. Like, why don't we have stuff that looks like that, where it's kind of
Oh,
like, what
right.
does you don't even really know what it means exactly, so it's kind of stylish in that regard. You guys agree? Disagree?
Yes.
I 100% agree. I would buy just about any StarCraft merchandise if it was clothing on,
That
if they
shirt,
had it
that
on the show store.
you know the hat, the StarCraft hat. That thing
Yeah.
sold pretty fast.
Mm.
So I was looking for it. I was like, oh, and then some guy on the stand, I'd offered to buy his hat, right? Some guy that on the BlizzCon stage, I was like, or buy there. I was like, hey man, can I buy your hat? You know, I'll give you $50 for it. You know, and he says, no, I don't want to. I don't want to. I'll give it to you for free. I was like, what? So he gave it to me for free.
What a guy!
Yeah.
Was it the
So
one that just said SC, the gray one?
yeah, no,
Yeah.
that one was for like special people, right? The one I'm talking about, the one that's for sale, the black one with the blue SC.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that one was awesome, and they sold out pretty fast. I want another one of that. One to keep nice and clean, one to wear all the time.
Yeah. The actually, I have a small complaint about the hats that they make, because they've actually made some really good StarCraft hats, but a lot of them are flat brim. And flat brim, like the flatness of the brim and how it doesn't bend keeps the hat very circular.
There you go.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, this one. Yep.
But the flat brim hats, here's the problem. You guys know the movie Alien, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Think of the alien with its long head. That's me, okay? My head is not round. I have a long, oval-shaped head. So flat brim baseball caps hurt when I wear them. Like, I cannot wear them. I've heard
Wear
people call it
backwards.
like dad hats or something. Yeah, actually wearing it backwards works.
Yeah.
But also I'm 37, so it's a little bit hard for me to pull off backwards baseball caps at this point. So just throwing that out there. I want more dad caps with the bendable rim, and I don't know. All right. Thank you for the question, Paragleber. Kilo asks.
Oh man.
Oh, can we skip this one?
We cannot.
He's
If
on
you guys,
Patreon, dude. You
Yeah.
need a
pay more.
Patreon. You need a Patreon veto, like to
What's-
overrule a question. That's what it is.
That's a
What's
good
he paying
idea.
You guys, I'll double it.
Yeah, he's paying $5 a month, so I mean, I guess it's doable. Kilo asks, if you guys were a cake, what kind of cake would you be? I would be a carrot cake.
Strawberry shortcake.
Oh, okay.
I double that.
So I actually prepared the question, but you see there is nothing for this one, you know, because I had no idea, so I don't know. I'm not gonna
You gotta
answer
be on
this one.
Patreon, man.
Damn. All right. Thank you, Kilo Kilo. Thank you for that. Some drunk Canadian asks, 1, outside of passion for StarCraft 2, what is keeping you guys in the StarCraft 2 scene? 2, what is the biggest factor that might cause you to withdraw from the StarCraft 2 scene? 3, what would you like to see done to address your answer to number 2? Sending much love from the home of Botox, California rolls, and Greenpeace. Okay.
Wow, what a question.
Yeah, no, this is a very good three-part
That's
question
a
here.
really good question.
Some drunk Canadian. Well, it's especially good because it comes after Kilo's question of what type of cake we would be.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
outside of passion for StarCraft 2, what keeps you guys here?
Well, from my part, my passion, but also the passion of the players and of all the staffs everywhere. I mean, if the players were like, yeah, I'm playing, but I don't really care, I probably would withdraw. I mean, it would not make sense. But when you see all the players being so excited, I remember an interview with Ghosty, the young German player who's 30 years old, explaining how he loves StarCraft 2 and everything on StarCraft 2, and so many passion from the players. I think that plus all the kind words from the community, etc. That's so comforting, and that just give us. We just want to continue that when we see so many nice guys here and so many passion everywhere.
Cool. What keeps you in KJ? Keeps you in the scene
Yeah,
other than
so for
passion?
me, obviously, it's more than just passion, right? We do have it's not a delusion, but we do hope to make this super profitable eventually, and it becomes, a real good return on the investment, right? So besides that, really, I mean, StarCraft has the best people. I say that time and again, and I've been proven time and again to be correct when I bring other people from other scenes and see, wow, this scene is awesome. The game is, some people can't do it, but they watch it and they enjoy it. But that's what keeps me as in the scene. Those two things, right? The hope for successful financial, fruition to what we've been trying to do, and of course, the great people, the players, fans, and people behind the scenes.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, KJ. I mean, the StarCraft 2 scene is amazing, and I made some LANs with others games being played at the same time. And the last one I made with a Fortnite, for example, players, some players were fighting with their teammates. I mean, it made no sense. That would never happen in StarCraft 2. First, because it's 1v1, obviously, but anyway, no one would fight with each other, and everyone is
Actually,
nice and shaking hands when the game is over. I mean,
oh my gosh, I have some stories. I mean, look, we had a Villo and a Storm Cup. Come on, man. If anyone that has the possibility of some sort of explosion, right, or some issue, it's
yeah,
that guy. But guess
I mean,
what? He was on our LAN event, and he was great. And he was great at Cheesadelphia. So people are different, and sometimes they behave.
yeah. But I saw 40 years old Fortnite players fighting with each other and then saying, I'm gonna take a train or something and leave the land. I mean, it made no sense. But that's never would happen with StarCraft 2. I mean, everyone is pretty nice, and that the mean guys are really rare. Well, there are not a lot of mean guys or stuff. So I think we really have a big chance with our community. I really believe so.
Yeah, it is. It does seem a bit more mature than a lot of the other gaming communities, for sure.
For me, at least, I'm gonna say just the players in general. Like, I'm friends with a lot of them, and going to Montreal last year was outstanding time. Got to meet so many people there that were just more than welcoming and everything. And even when we were all getting drunk at the gaming bar after, it was a heck of a time. People buying other people drinks, I'm buying people drinks, we're playing games all together, like not even just StarCraft. We were playing, I think, Smash Bros as well. I think there was one Overwatch game going on. Just a lot of like friendship and compassion, and even meeting great people like Cannibal Sheep. You'll see him in a lot of Twitch chats, and he's one of the nicest people I've ever had the pleasure to meet.
There you go.
Some memories I'll never forget.
Excellent. Right. And so what factor then, after you guys mention everything that keeps you in the scene besides for the passion of the game, what is the biggest factor that might cause you to withdraw from the StarCraft 2 scene? What could actually get you to quit this stuff?
Well, I was really worried actually at the end of last year when the WCS circuit were not announced at all. And I was like, will they do like Heroes of the Storm stuff without telling us
Yeah.
before and stuff? So I think this is what things that could kill the game and we would withdraw is the end of the pro scene. So I think it's really important that the pro scene continues, and with the ESL Pro Tour, which is amazing, I think you agree with me, it's way, well, I think it's better than what we had before. We are actually really happy right now. Well, I am.
Okay.
What would cause me to quit
Yeah.
would essentially be essentially kind of what Blizzard's been continuously doing over time, just the lack of support overall. And if it just continues on and there's nothing given back other than just one event at this point a year, let's argue, through a war chest, then that might be an issue because there's just not much really pushing for me to continue going on. I do want to support the community as long as possible, but there has to be at least something to help me out, not monetary wise, but like to keep the community interested. Otherwise, it's just supporting a doing, like, I'm beating a dead horse, but at least I'm having a fun time while doing it.
Sure.
Yeah. So for me, it would have to be real life finally taking me away, right? I mean, I am running a couple of businesses. I have a family. I do other stuff like car stuff and all that. And so, will I have time to run it? Maybe. And I don't even have to run it, but I'd like to still be involved in some fashion
Mhm.
or another, right? Um, but it would be, yeah, it's just time. Time
Yeah.
gets more precious as you get older. So,
Other obligations.
there are certain people you'll still keep in touch with.
Yeah.
Even now, I try to minimize time that I spend with people that deserve it, right? I mean, because your time is money, man. So you don't get any of that back. So it would definitely be just running out of time.
Well, that makes me very interested in your answer for the third part of this question. I think Trickett and Miguel will have good answers, but I can't imagine what yours would be. What would you like to see done to address your answer to number two? So the thing that could get you out of the scene is, well, real life shit, having time to do
Oh,
it.
it would have to
How
be
could
my
we address
career, right,
that?
Dan? It would have
What?
to be my career. So I want to say
Yeah.
something about Blizzard, right? I mean, we're not. Blizzard has been very helpful to me when I did the visa issues. They helped me a lot. There's a few people in there that were really great. They helped me with some of my events, promotions. They've been really good for what,
Mhm.
for their time and ability and the small staff that they had. So I don't want to say they're doing a bad job, but
Mhm.
um, to address what would keep to address that, I mean, I guess it would have to be my career somewhat. Oh, okay, KJ's now the
Yeah.
CEO of Blizzard or something like that, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I would make StarCraft be the number one thing, no matter what, in our company's objectives, right?
Hell
So,
yeah.
you guys better vote for me if there was such a thing as an election. But you know, right? But
Absolutely.
so that's my answer. So it's a little weird, but
Okay, no, that works. That works. Miguel, what about you? How could we address the
Yeah.
biggest
Well,
your
I think
biggest?
the
Yeah.
circuit right now is really great. So I have only one prayer for Blizzard. At some point, there will be a Warcraft 4. And I hope when there will be Warcraft 4, they will not discontinue the StarCraft 2 scene because it's two RTS, but it's two different RTS. And I think there is spots for both of them. So I just hope they will not discontinue it when Warcraft 4 will come back. But I think the USL Pro 2 right now is just amazing. So honestly, nothing to say about it. I'm just so happy when I was so happy when I
Yeah,
saw the announcement, and I still think it's amazing.
agreed. And what about you, Trickett? How could we address what you said?
Um, Again, we've already like beaten the team aspect of it to death by now, but
Mhm.
adding on to that, at least addressing some of the event organizers, I don't think they get as much support as a lot of people. Like, again, there are people like Wardy, Base Trade Dares. They get a lot of support. Don't get me wrong, but then there's other ones like Craigton Olson, Sugar SC2, Talden, um, just a bunch of people trying to put on a bunch of different events, and like they're not, at least there's nothing really going too much for them. They're doing it for the sake of putting it on. It's a great event. So I feel like at least a little bit of support to try and help endorse, advertise some of these events going on would be more than enough.
GumiGod's the motivational speaker and
He
and also
is.
the reverse name dropper. He's the reverse name dropper.
Seriously.
Uh,
Really has shit figured out, man. All right. That was
I have
great
nothing figured
questions.
out.
Great questions, Some Drunk Canadian. Thank you much. Really nice. All right. Hyper Turtle asks, what differences do modern teams have to the Pro League team houses? Do teammates still assist each with practice, or is the focus strictly on help with business sponsors and travel? How much emphasis do modern teams have in online communities, tournaments, and streams these days?
Yeah, it's a good question. We talk a lot about money and contract and stuff, but I think a team is way more. So obviously there are some players that are on team and just practicing themselves, but there are also a lot of players that need a community and need the coaches and need practice partners they is alike. And for example, on Alpha X or academy teams, we provide coaches and we provide the more adequate practice partners and stuff. So I think it's really important, even for their motivation, to have a community behind them. Know they are fans on their teams. They are following what they do, etc. I think this is really important, and it's maybe the part of a team work which is the most rewarding and the most interesting, and also the part that people know the less, because people know there are big contract and stuff, but team is before all players that we help, and we help as much as we can, and not only with money.
All right. Do you guys agree with this, or
Yep.
any other thoughts?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The only somewhat unique thought I had is obviously the team house component, right? So we had a
Mm.
team house for a very long time. When True moved back and there was no hope of getting him back because of some other things and visa things and all that, we obviously closed that team house, right? And it's not a clubhouse to have people hang out and do whatever, right? So that's been
Yeah.
closed. But when we had that thing up, right, the team house, it's very similar to the Korean team houses in terms of what we're supposed to do, which is practice, help each other out, talk about events.
Mm.
It's like a dorm or frat house type of thing. That's basically very similar, except it's in the U.S. and you need a car, and the Koreans can't drive. That's basically what that is.
Yeah.
And a lot of teams just want to help other teams out. That's just the bottom line. Like, we're all in this together, or we all fall together, is how it's going to be in the end. So,
All right. Thank you for the question, Hyper Turtle. Bleckfost asks, since the competition in StarCraft is rather single player based, I would like to know if and how you're doing training sessions with all of your players, or if you just let them do things on their own. Thank you very much for the insights into StarCraft teams and for this episode. Keep up the good work. You guys kind of answered that before, but is there any like specifics? Like, do you ever set times, or try to get your players and be like, hey, can you play with him? Like, do you manage that aspect or anything like that?
Yeah, there's Penguin usually handles that for me. That's just way too much day-to-day detail,
Mm.
right? So when we were doing that, we were extremely active. We did that. Some of the top players, they have their own regimen. They have their own way of practicing. Like we never got, hey Gumiho, can you practice with so and so? Like
Mm.
it's not gonna happen. And he was on the roll, so it's not like you're gonna touch him. If it's kind of like in
Yeah, yeah,
baseball, he's in the zone. You're not gonna mess with his style.
yeah. Don't mess with
So it's
brilliance.
kind of like that. Yeah, you don't want to dilute his practice to help someone else out. He's the big gun, that kind of
Mhm.
thing. So it would be something like that. But for obviously people that are closer, you do practice and you set that up.
Cool.
Yeah, for us, it might depend. I mean, in the community team, so the amateur player, a lot of players love to play together in peep modes or the kind of 1v1 training, which is actually really, really nice. But for our academy and top player, most of all, they play alone or with practice partner. We find them, but mostly it's like that. They do not play peep modes or stuff together.
Yeah, actually, the players all message each other for practice anyway across teams. I mean, that happens a lot. There was a few instances where I asked someone to practice with one of our players, and can you do it? And we'd pay you money, and they refused. No, I don't need the money. If it's good practice for me, I'll practice with so and so. So there, that happens a lot more. There, the players, especially at the top level, they know what they need to do and they do it on their own.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and even on Team Exxon, I really just mostly leave that up to the team captain and the players as well as individual sponsors, coaching and all that stuff. But given the sarcastic comments with ETM, I have to reevaluate my decision making.
All right. Black Foss, thanks for the question there. Falcon Hain asks, what is the biggest sponsor's missed opportunity that you have experienced or that maybe would have been memorable? Could you give an example of a dream sponsorship or a company that need to sponsor someone ASAP? And what the fuck is ESPN showing now that there are no sports? Love from Washington, D.C.
Oh, he's local to me.
Yeah, there you go. So are there any big missed opportunities that you guys kind of see or a dream sponsorship that someone needs to act on right away? The one that pops in my mind instantly with that was Nest Tea. Like if I was the Nest Tea
Yeah.
company, I'd be like, please, GSL
Yes.
three-time champion, please take my money.
Exactly. My answer to that is this. Look, we had a sponsor called Guard Lab, which is mouth guards. Now, mouth guards are for fighting sports and physical contact type of sports. So if they sponsored esports, for crying out loud, right? It's really just availability of opportunity, and if they'll do it, and if it's a deal done where you make arrangements based on metrics and things that make sense. So as far as missed opportunity, we didn't miss any because there weren't that many that were like, oh my god, we missed Toyota or we missed so and so, right? There's a few that we're working on, but I would say we didn't miss any just because they're really hard to come by. That's just the nature of the business, especially given the lack of exposure to teams.
Okay. Any other?
Really, just any kind of sponsorship's good for StarCraft, whether it's big, long, and throbbing with excitement. Like, we just want sponsors in general.
Excellent.
You guys got it.
Anything else, Miguel?
There, ET, I said it. Now stop messaging me.
You got balls.
All right. Thank you for the question, Falcon Hain. Optional Player asks, I'm a 33-year-old author who works a full-time job. I try to watch StarCraft as I can, but life, I'd love to write about esports and go pro with it, but I feel it moves too fast before I can catch up to write about the games. What recommendations do you have on both writing and getting a foot in the door?
Well, I think the most important is to well, we already talked a bit about that, right? How to join the community of organizers tournaments. It's actually the same, I think. So I think you should contact members of the community, maybe other writers. In my now, I'm thinking of Marco Roots, for example, who write for Team Liquid, who is really nice guy. So I think that's what he should do, and he should try to, because even if he's he has a full-time job, he probably has the opportunity to do so, and he should try.
Yeah,
Just do it, man.
Yeah, you gotta, if you have a dream like that, I think just following it's probably a good one. Also, you don't have to necessarily catch up. You don't have to write about exactly what just happened. I think a lot of the more interesting things I read are about things that have already happened in the past, right? Where it's like kind of looking back at something or making me remember something or looking at something that happened from a different angle. So those are not really time sensitive things that you might be able to write about.
Yeah, when Terrancraft write about the GSL format, for example, a few days ago, well, it's not something specific to now. It's just a more larger thinking. So, yeah, for sure.
And on top of everything, it may not seem like it, but I do like reading some of the novels that Blizzard puts out. I probably don't look like a book reading kind of guy, but even if players want to write,
You're a dick talking kind of guy. I get it.
I love it, But thing is, though, is that I would honestly love to read what people's fan iterations are on their own take on what they think happens after StarCraft 2. What happens after the comics, some of the stuff that's not mentioned.
Mhm.
You know, like that'd be awesome in by itself, or even just writing down what's already captured on video, you know, like through ESL, through WCS, through GSL. I think that would be beneficial, you know, just not even keeping up.
Yeah, you're a writer, man. You know what you're doing as far as writings. We're not going to teach you how to write, but the different perspective or angle that you can find in there to stand out, that's my suggestion. And just write,
Mm.
just keep writing. Something will stick, and then you never know what it is. So that's my suggestion to you, Mr. Patreon person.
Optional player.
Should I also throw out there, I'm not a fan of people saying dick it, but I love it too. Just don't tell Winter, because he will ream that to the ground.
All right.
Everybody's gonna start doing it. I can see that. I love it. It's hilarious.
No, I'm not aware if he watches this, but I guess we'll find out. All right, thank you, optional player, for the question. Hope that helps you somewhat in your quest to be a writer for StarCraft. All right, Gildalin asks, I promised Drickett I would have a good question, but I can't think of one. So if you were about to eat a sentient hot dog,
Oh my god.
no, asks for you to not eat it, would you? What if it then says StarCraft sucks? Would you eat it then? Well, I mean, if something asks me not to eat it, I'm not going to eat it.
I know, right?
Even if it thinks StarCraft sucks.
If it talks.
I mean, it is a hot dog, though.
I stopped eating.
So that's
hot
another
dogs
reason
unless
not to
somebody
eat it.
I'm probably gonna eat it anyways.
Oh my god. Miguel, I know you have a great answer for this.
He's French. French and food and American hot dogs. I'm sure he
Yeah,
has a great
I
answer.
actually have a baguette here, you know, because French
There you
represent
go.
here. So
Don't
I took a
ask me.
Back to the
baguette.
baguettes.
Is that a hot dog roll? What is it? Come on. Oh, all right. Gildalin, thank you so much for giving us that great question. Drickett, you got great friends, man. All right. Red Gunner Guy asks, so apart from buying team merch, how can we, the StarCraft 2 community, help teams? What should we, my case, I organize tournaments, do when talking to sponsors? Tips to maximize success or even finding sponsors? Also, thanks to Alpha X for backing Justice Simon for a while. Okay. Yeah, Red Gunner Guy is a big guy within the Singaporean StarCraft 2 scene, always asking good questions here. But apart from buying team merch, I don't know if your guys' teams all sell team merch, but what can the StarCraft 2 community do to help?
Well, the simplest thing is to watch our events, because if they watch our events, we have more viewers. If we have more viewers, we have more sponsors. If we have more sponsors, we have more events. So that's that's the cycle, you know. So that's the first thing I would say. Jump on our events when you do not know what to do on an evening.
Cool.
Yep. I would suggest keeping an eye on the Team Liquid calendar or the OSC events, upcoming events. Those are some of the biggest community-run events
Yeah,
in
OSC
there,
is
and
great. Eddie
OSC
and them,
is
great,
yeah.
great people.
And honestly, I fully support Eddie and OSC, because like they are some of the biggest contributors to what's keeping a lot of the events surviving today. If it wasn't for him, I would honestly put money down that half the events, even less than that, would just be going on, and there would be little to no support behind it because nobody would understand or know where to find it. And that also falls on Team Liquid too. Like, they're doing a fantastic job. People who are moderating are doing a fantastic job as well. Maturino's another one as well. It's a little harder to navigate that, but I'm sure over time they'll have a better system.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the scene, and the people in it, the StarCraft fans, are already doing a lot, right? I mean, a lot of them. I see some as a BlizzCon too. Saw a couple guys with Sidestorm jerseys. You know, like they bought it and then they supported us. That's great. They're already doing something. Um, it's like we're asking them to do even more. But I think for the best thing is for them to evangelize other gamers to do StarCraft, and then grow our scene. I think that's the best thing that you can do, because that's what I'm doing every day. I mean, if you see, when I got into another company, my tagline was like blah 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 blah, did this, blah 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 blah, VP of this, and play StarCraft, blah blah blah. I put that in there purposely. I put in there StarCraft. And then when I looked at LinkedIn, if you look at LinkedIn, it says StarCraft. So when I look at resumes, if there's any hint that they like StarCraft, they're hired. You know,
I like
that's
that.
how it works. That's how it works. They automatically hire them. I automatically give them a chance, and I automatically buy stuff from them. You know, if they're a sponsor or whatever. So I would say spread the word, get more people into StarCraft, and that's really all you can do. So all the content creators, that's what they're doing now. So I suggest a lot of the people watching, tell your friends. They may think you're weird, but get new friends.
There you go. Yeah, I'm on board with that one. He also had a second part. So, like, any just general tips on finding sponsors and making that work out.
He's a
Again, he
small team.
organizes a
He
lot
wants
of
to know about
tournaments.
sponsors, how to get.
Yeah, just he's looking basically for tips when talking to sponsors or maximize success or finding sponsors. Just kind of he runs tournaments in Singapore for this
Oh,
scene.
okay.
Well,
Yeah.
sorry, I said earlier, the only stupid questions when you don't ask, reach out. Like, they don't, most of the time, they don't know you exist until you ask. So, if the worst case, they say no. Best case,
Hmm.
you found a sponsor. You know, whether it's $5, $50, $100. You know,
Yeah.
anything helps.
And some sponsors actually really love the game, so sometimes you just talk with them and you make new friends also with the sponsors. There are some really great. That's true. I'm thinking, for example, of Global Clan RTS that sponsored the big tournament of Creighton, but is also the main sponsor of the Junior Championship. And they are really great guys, really involved with StarCraft 2 stuff, and that's pretty great.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know the scene in Singapore or even some of that region in Asia, right? As far as how it works. But outside of just doing the casting a lot of nets, the Drikit saying just, hey, go keep asking, right? I would say prepare yourself with the questions that sponsors will ask, which is what's your metrics, what's your plan for growth, what's your exposure level, all kinds of business type questions. Because in reality, if there's no return on investment for the sponsors, you don't make a compelling case into getting them to sign up for you outside of just passion and doing you a favor, right? So you definitely want to get all that prepared ahead of time, so then they think you know what you're doing. So get those numbers.
And also another thing to add on is it's not even limited to companies. You can ask clans, teams. OSC is a huge sponsor of a lot of events, at least with OSC points. You know, like whether money's involved or not, players will play for OSC points because there's a bigger picture involved there.
Yep.
Even Matcherino, you know, if you want to start a tournament that you think is going to be worth the while, they'll give you codes, plug in free codes, talk to casters who might be interested in casting. And right there, like they could give you $25.50 codes, you know, and 50 codes each, you know, and there's a base pool of $25. You don't even have to spend just that alone. So there's always other routes as well within StarCraft 2 that you can also exercise without even talking to any companies. And even clans can help you out talking to companies too. They can help support you, they can back you up, they can help you with a lot of the questions too.
Great answers. Hope that helps you out, Red Gunner Guy. Good luck with it. Shampoo McTavish asks, do you think there are any personality traits that are more common in players of each race? For instance, are Terrans more anxious, Zergs more introverted, Protoss more humorous, or anything like that?
Terran are rhinos, everyone knows that. Look like Zerg are good at StarCraft 2, and Protoss are not rhinos and are not good at StarCraft 2, so they make memes like Drogo.
This is pretty accurate from what I've seen.
Oh my gosh,
And
my God.
it's hard to tell with Terran players since they've recently been muted on both forums and in games.
You're
so
whiners. That's why.
Yeah, I honestly don't think Terrans complain anymore since that update. So it's a great update.
So I've mentioned this a couple times, just publicly. I don't remember where exactly, but when I first moved out here in 2008, I think it was maybe late 2008, early 2009. Tasteless and I were interviewed by a team from, I believe it was like PBS or something, that was making a documentary, and I'm not sure if it ever came out or not, because, well, I don't know. I don't know if it did or not, but they were doing it on StarCraft. They interviewed us and stuff, and we had dinner with them. and they actually told us about there was a study in Korea for the players of each race where they did like personality stuff. And this is exactly what they told us, is that Zerg players tend to be a little bit crazier. Terran players tend to be a bit more, tend to be like more depressed. And Protoss players tend to be more normal. Swear to God, that's, you can ask Tasteless. That's what they told us basically. Protoss players are normal, Zerg players are crazy, Terran players are depressed. So I don't know. Anyways, I don't know if that documentary ever came out or anything, or what it would be called, but that was a long time ago, and that was just a study that was done in Korea. All right, so there you have it. Fits with my view of the world, at least. Okay. Neo Steel well, thank you for the question, Shampoo McTavish. Neo Steel Enthusiast asks, Miguel, it looks like he has a question for everyone. Miguel, are you aware that your team captain is the undisputed pizza pie champ? What
Yeah,
pizza would you order if you won such a prestigious tournament?
Yeah, I'm sure even my grandmother knows who StarCraft is. But I would say a pizza with oh my god, I lost the word. That's stupid. You know what Romity loves? Pineapple. Yeah. Okay. Pizza with
Yeah.
pineapple for sure.
Okay. Cool.
And
all right.
hello, Acontistas in the chat.
Dricket, what's your
Yes.
plan to keep special on your team long term? Just look at his Wikipedia. He's known for switching teams and switching names a lot. So yeah, what's your plan?
Well, we plan on having our sponsors continue contributing to special, and we're gonna do our best to support them any way possible. We're also offering a lot of coaching support from like towards other players to help income revenue for them. And we plan as well to keep trying to keep them going in events, as many online tournaments as well. Like just hopefully not having him in just tournaments where he wins everything, and kind of it wouldn't be as amusing if specials in there and just wins everything. But we plan on trying to keep him involved and keep him updated on everything that's going on, and treat him with a lot of respect, as we do with everybody, at least as far as I do with everybody I talk to. So, if he decides to go to another team for better pay, power to him. I say this to most of the teammates, like they are on a contract, and at least stay to the end of the month. You don't have to hold to the end of the contract. We're not going to hold you accountable, but go where the money is.
What a terrible businessman.
Sure, but honestly,
too nice.
go where the money is. Like
I'm just joking.
that's all I can say for players. Like, because in the market that it is right now, it's limited, and if you turn down certain offers, like I respect you. I really do. I respect it if you want to stay on the team, you like the team, and you want to stay there. But just money's money. Don't turn it down.
50 cents is 50 cents.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
All right.
And we'll do our best to help support you. That's all I can say.
Cool. All right, for KJ, got an interesting / funny GumiGod story.
Do I have any?
Yeah.
I think I told you this, Dan, at the BlizzCon, right? I told you this. I was giving him his new uniform to wear, or was it like a jacket? I don't remember. So I was messaging him, and he said, "Yeah, sure, meet me at this room at 6:05." And I'm like thinking 6:05, So it was like such an exact number, and I went there. Sure, sure enough, it had to be 6:05. Like, that's when he showed up, 6:05. So I don't know if that's normal that he does it that way, but that was surprising.
Like,
and then we took him out for steak and all that. We were at Morton's. We took him out there, me, Damon, and the guys, and we had fun with him. But he was really like, I don't know, maybe it's a Terran thing where they're really up to the bills, right? The exact SCV count or something. I have no idea how they think, but I thought it was kind of interesting.
Like specifically like 6:05 p.m.
Yeah, it was like 6:05 p.m. or some specific number that was odd. It wasn't like 6:30. It wasn't 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
It wasn't even 6:15. I mean, if he said 6:05 in 30 seconds, then I'm like, dude, crazy.
All right. Yeah, that is peculiar. And then Tosis, love you. Okay, thank you, Neo Steel enthusiast. Good questions. Thank you much. Looks like we just have one more from our very own Alessander. KJ, teaching True to drive, automatic or manual?
Well, of course, automatic. There's no way in
Yeah.
hell he's gonna drive any of my stick shift cars. I let him drive the Range Rover, by the way, which is an automatic. And if he crashed it, no big deal. It was an older Range Rover kind of thing, and there's insurance, right? And we won't probably die as an SUV. So, uh, there, I gave you more than just the stick shift or automatic answer.
So I assumed it had to be that. All right, everyone. There were over 324 different StarCraft tournaments last year, from Bronze to BlizzCon worldwide, with 37 major, 270 minor, and 438 weeklies. 150 players played a Chilean-only tournament recently. How do we grow the StarCraft scene and keep it growing and healthy? Damn, those are some big numbers.
Keep pushing for more events. Don't stop hosting events. Honestly, when it comes to like hosting events, even on my side, it's hard to find a good time. For the Exxon Cup, the best time was Wednesday at 9 p.m. But considering the time we started the Pylon Show at, I might have to reevaluate that. But given StarCraft growth and community, just keep trying, keep hosting more events, host more tournaments. Players are going to love to play no matter what it is.
Okay. Any other thoughts, guys? How you can keep growing the scene?
Yeah, I think tournaments is important, and that's pretty it. While you accept new players and new casters and stuff, some are new to the scene, but that's great. While we have new players, it's great.
Yeah, I think we gotta start StarCraft like a religion, kind of like the Mormons. The Mormons send
Yeah.
out their kids to convert people. That's what we gotta do. We just gotta get more people spreading the word.
You heard about our Lord and Savior Sarah Kerrigan?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of fair if you can get people past a certain, there's like StarCraft is very hard to start, I think, but once you get past a certain level of understanding where you're like, oh, that's what's going on here. How can you not love it? I don't understand. All right. Thank you for the question, Alessander, and that wraps up the Patreon questions. A big thanks. Good questions this week, actually. There's only a couple sentient food questions, so that's always good. Big thanks to all of our Patreon supporters, especially our June $100 supporters: Astrofin, Jerry Wang, Manard, Rip Exodus, who, by the way, submitted this idea for the show. It kind of spurred us forward. So thanks for that. And Shane and VDEC, and of course, all those that you see on your screen right now, and many more of our $5 and $2 supporters. Thank you guys so much. Guys, this has been a great episode. I feel like I've learned a lot about the team scene and the running of tournaments and all that. Why don't each of you give like a shout out where you want people to look, how they can support, follow you, all those types of things. KJ, let's start with you.
Oh, great! Yeah. So, shout out to every fan of StarCraft. We are one and the same. We love StarCraft, right?
Mhm.
So whether you're a CEO or a custodian or whatever, right? That's great. As far as where to find me, I think the socials are right there. But be warned, I don't post about just StarCraft. It's like cars and food and stupid stuff, right? Unrelated. So you might get bored of that. Um, so that's pretty much it for me. I'm not really too public in terms of private life. It's really
Sure.
just gaming stuff, car
Mhm.
stuff, all these persona type things. Not really
Sure.
my private life. So, but that's about it.
Probably the way it should be.
Yeah.
Dricket, how about you? Where can people find more of you?
Oh, well, actually, you can find more about Exxon at Exxon_SC, or follow me on Twitter, Dricket3. Or, actually, I made a quick list.
Sure.
So, yeah, and my OnlyFans account as well.
OnlyFans. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I'm
I
under
know what that is.
Yeah, I'm under
So that's a new
nickname.
thing.
Yeah, my nickname's KJ. You'll find me there.
All right. And Miguel, how about you? Where can people check you out more?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really interesting, but follow Alpha XSC2 on Twitter, follow Alpha XSC2 on Twitch, and just follow a tournament we host. So on Saturday and Sunday, we'll have Group A and Group B of Junior Championship. Come and see the under 16 player competing. It will be a great season this season. So yeah, that's pretty it.
Great.
And also, if you also want to support a lot of the events as well, I do have a Patreon.
Okay.
I don't have a link to it right now, but I do also want to quickly shout out Tantalizing Terrariums and Daemonum Camo because they helped me put on a lot of events and helped the team out immensely. So if you can follow at Baby Vegeta, at Tantalizing Terrariums, and at Daemonum Camo, those would be good other ways to help out me and help out our sponsors. So
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. This has been a wonderful show. Again, really fun, and great. I'm gonna have to have you all back sometime. And for me, guys, just check out all my regular stuff. Follow the channel and things like that. I will be back next week, of course. Always Pylon Show, same time every single week. And my stream actually starts at the same time as the Pylon Show on all the other weekdays. Big shout out as well to the whole team. And Cobra Production, Alessander for the show notes, and our web devs, our artists. This is not a singular effort or even just me and Cobra. It's even more than that. It's Pylon Shows.
SpaceX.
Yeah, bigger than SpaceX. Yeah, and I mean, if you want to support, please thumbs up on YouTube. Give us 5 stars on the podcast app that you listen to it on, whatever it is. If you don't like it, don't listen. Yeah, I don't know. That's about it. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will be back in just a minute with This Week in StarCraft. But yeah, that's it for the main part of the show. So thanks for watching. Yo, everybody. Okay, we're back for This Week in StarCraft. And you know what, Miguel and Drake, we're like, yeah, screw it, Artosis. We're staying for it. I try to get Miguel to go get some sleep because it's like 6 a.m. there right now for him. He's been up all night with us, but here we are. So thank you guys for joining me. KJ had to run to a meeting. Let's go ahead and talk about This Week in StarCraft. Let's start on page number 3. We're going to be talking about ESL DreamHack Masters, the GSL Season 2, Alpha X Juniors Championships Season 7, and Sugar 2v2 Cup. All right, moving onwards. DreamHack Masters Summer 2020 qualifiers. Open qualifier NA number 1 is completed. Look at this. Tilo, Nina, Massa, Namshar, all getting right through there. Yeah, you can check that out. Cranky Ducklings, Zombie Grub, Shirshadi, and several other streams. We also have the DreamHack Masters Summer 2020 qualifiers for Korea. Looks like Dark vs. Maru, Deer vs. Trap. Casted by Tasteless. Really? I haven't heard about this yet, so that's interesting. That's blowing my mind a little bit. All right. Well, I hope I cast that. Those look like great matches. So hopefully that is the case. All right. We also have a DreamHack Masters Summer 2020 qualifiers for the open qualifier for Taiwan, Hong Kong, Mo, Japan. What's MO? Do you guys know what MO is here?
no.
Yeah, Macau. I think.
Oh, yeah, maybe you're right. That would make sense. That's the right. Yeah, I think Macau is normally put with those. Anyways, go Joey and Rex advance. Check that out on Creighton Olsen's stream. Obviously there's more qualifiers coming up for all these guys if you do want to play. We also have the ESL ANZ Champs Cup is going on. You can check that out over at Cranky Ducklings. And a few other ones there as well. And that's taking place starting tomorrow. Check that out. Wow, a lot of qualifiers going on, man. We also have the Chinese qualifiers, the LATAM qualifiers, and EU qualifiers coming up. We don't have well, we have the dates for a lot of these. Looks like some of them have started today/yesterday. We'll have more information about all this next week as well. We also have GSL Season 2 groups. Yeah, that's actually kind of big news, isn't it? We're starting that on Saturday, guys. Make sure you check that out. We have all the groups listed here. So that's going to be 1 p.m. Saturday. That's 2 days. It's basically 48 hours and 30 minutes from now. You get to watch GSL. Hell yeah. Can't wait. That I will be casting. All right. And here we are. Miguel, this is your part to shine right here. The Alpha X Junior Championship Season 7. Can you tell us what's going on there?
Yeah, well, the Alpha X Junior Championship is a monthly tournament for under 16 years old players that cannot play yet on the ESL Pro Tour. So it's a GSL format, 8 players, 4 qualified from last season, 3 qualified through Open Qualifier, and 1 invited players. So 2 groups and then playoffs. So we'll have this weekend, the 2 groups on Saturday and Sunday, 7 p.m. CEST, and then the playoffs next week. So we'll have a Rockfire, for example, with 13 years old, 12 for Wannabe Beyond. There will be also Baby Marine, who is really improving at the moment. So a lot of really strong players. And we do some interviews also of the players to know how they practice, how they feel about StarCraft 2 in their future in the game. So it's really interesting. So tune in on Alpha X SC2 stream.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite new tournaments that have popped up. But I do have a question for you that I wonder every week when I read about this. Part of the rules, it's not just 15 years old and under. It's also never reached 6,000 MMR. Have you had to turn anyone away for that yet? Or are there any kids that are 15 or under that have hit 6,000?
Yeah, I only had this rule on second season because I wanted to protect those 12 and 13 years old from the really strong 15. And then one day Ghosty came and said, yeah, but I reach 6K. And I was like, he's 13. So if I don't let him play, it's stupid. So I removed this rule. So now everyone under 16 can play. And yeah, some of them, Exostriker reached 6K, Ghosty once a long time ago, etc. Rockfire is not far also.
It's crazy. I'm like literally 3 times older than some of these kids.
Yeah, it's impressive.
With me, what is going on?
6K at 12 years old is really impressive.
That's
and
crazy.
At the end of the year, we'll have the global finals with the top 8 of the ranking because there is a ranking. Each season, players win points, and at the end, top 8 will be invited to the tournament.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely talk more about that when it comes up, and that begins this weekend. So check it out, guys. All right, we also have the Sugar 2v2 Cup. All right. Number 1 takes place on Friday, June 19th. I remember last time Sugar put on a cup, we suddenly had a bunch of 2 versus 2 tournaments for like a little amount of time.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, I know it's cool. I like when things pop up like that, where it's like we had this little period like a month ago where it was between 1 month ago and like 4 months ago where there was a bunch of random tournaments where everyone was playing random. And then there was a little period where there was a bunch of 2 versus 2 tournaments. It's just kind of, I don't know, had some flair, something a little bit different. Yeah, you guys can check that out. Support it on Matcherino, and it'll be streamed by Zonda. Check it out if you're interested in the 2 versus 2. Right, this week in StarCraft, we have the ESL Open Cups. We have a big list for you guys where you can check out the dates and times. Go and sign up. You can play against pro gamers. It's fun. Trust me. I don't know how often you guys get to play against pros and get your ass handed to you. For me, every day I hit like at least one pro that's like makes me feel bad about myself, but it's also fun.
It's a fun time.
Yeah, in the most self-hating type of way. All right, we have the ESL Cup Korea. Wow, Bunny defeated Sue 3-0 in the finals. Sick. Scarlet and Zest also making to the top 4. Cast by Wardy, Creighton, O Gaming, all sorts of people. Check it out. We also have ESL Cup EU. Rainer over Hero Marine in the finals. Hero Marine unable to take down Cup number 75. Lambo and Clem making that top 4. And pretty sick. Check that out. Nathanius, Creighton, Grant, Roddy, Wardy, Chicken Man, Take. Damn, everyone casted this one. Check that out. We also have the ESL Cup NA. Solar 3-0 over Special in the finals with Clem and Nice hitting the top 4. Cast by Pig, Maynard, Steadfast, Adrich, Rocklets. Check it out. We also have Stay At Home Story Cup number 2, where Cyril was able to beat Solar 3-2. Solar over Innovation down there. Oh, pretty sick. Look at that bracket. Of course, Roddy, Wardy, Take, O Gaming. Check it out, guys. ESL Open Cups AU. We had Hut over Demi 3-1. Of course, there's a lot more of those coming up as well. We have the Olimo League. Ragnarok 3-1 over DRG. And this is the point where I always tell people, you can support Olimo League. It's one of my favorite ones. It's one of the only Patrons that I've got a regular subscription to. You can get all the replays. But of course, they're cast as well, a lot of the good games. So you can check those out on various channels. Normally, Maynard does it. It looks like Wardy did this one. So check him out there. We have the OSC King of the Hill Weekly. Looks like Goblin and Kelliger had a good run, and B was the final king. And Turbulent End, number 27, was streamed by Bel Air. Each map worth 750. King is awarded 15. Kind of funny that the guy that wins at the end is the king, even if he only won one map, right? Very sneaky from B to double his prize winnings in such a way. All right, the C Duckling Open. We had ES Reaver over Fury 3-1 in the finals there. You can check this out on Cranky Ducklings. Also have the Grand Platypus Open over at Cranky Ducklings with Pez over Go Joey 3-1 in the finals. And Battle of the Americas with Peely Peely defeating Patty Mac, which has a picture of Showtime disintegrating. 3-2 there in the finals. Yanshi and I'm Eurotrash, great ID, in the top 4 there. You can check that out once again at Cranky Ducklings. With the Wardy TV Team Spring Championship. And that is Sue defeating Zest 4-1. Finals and semis were played this week. You can check that all out over at Wardy TV. Why is it called the Team Spring Championship? Maybe we have that wrong. I'm not sure. Exxon Cup number 2. What's up, Dricket?
Yeah, we had a lot of people sign up for it. It's a bi-weekly cup. It is hosted or held on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And we had a few people sign up, such as Kiwion, Epic, Hydra. We had Jennison, Brian, Ryuchi, Chance, and Raiden, and more. It's a great event. Winter generally casts it. Same with Steadfast. We're talking to more casters to see if there wants to be more coverage of it and different point of views, and as well as Tantalizing Terrariums as a sponsor of the event. Without them, this wouldn't even be a thing. They help organize it all. They help fund it, and yeah, it's a great event all around.
Yeah, this is kind of funny too, because Kawaiian, obviously he made it into GSL this last season, and then he announced he was done competing basically, and then he won this tournament immediately.
Gotta love him.
Turnaround from retirement to win a tournament.
And it wasn't an easy bracket for me. He had to beat Epic. He had to beat Nicorette, a 6K Russian Terran player, and he also had to beat Chance. That is not an easy bracket.
Good. I've watched Chance play quite a bit. He's a strong Protoss, man. Sure.
Yeah, and even Spy as well. Don't sleep on him. He's an up-and-comer as well. In tournament, he 2-1 Cham and knocked him out of the tournament. So
no way.
Yeah.
What race? I don't even know who Spy is. What race does he play?
He's Zerg. He's a dirty player. I'll give him that, but he's a good player.
Yeah, he's under 16. He's playing on the Junior Championship. Or he's the same, right?
Sick.
And again, check out Instagram, Tantalizing Terrariums, and follow them and check out their products to help support these events and help support a lot of the events going on that I host.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Very cool. So bi-weekly, you'll have this again in 2
Next
weeks. When did this one end?
This
Well,
one ended last week, but we had to move it to Saturday because there was a GSL photo shoot at the same time, so Special wasn't going to be able to play. I invited Scarlet, Astray, and a couple others as well. Try and make it a higher tier tournament as well. Saturday came around and none of them could make it.
Oh, that's
So
it gave us this great storyline, right? Bashing face. All right, moving on. We have the NA Team League Rumble 2. Alpha X and X on both parts of this. You guys want to tell us about this tournament a little bit?
Yeah, actually, it's hosted by I think Sugar puts it on, and it's casted by Creighton Olsen. Anybody can cast the event. All they have to do is ask anybody affiliated with. I'm sure Creighton is more than happy to help share and bring more notoriety. Same with Sugar. And we get the North American teams together to participate in the team league. The teams put forward the money, hence the prize pool, and it goes forward in a general round robin-esque like format. So this one was 5 teams, so over 5 weeks. We had 2 best of 7s, and the first 6 matches are played, and through those matches for the first 5 weeks, one team had to sit out, but the 4 other teams would all compete and pit their players against each other. And the kicker with this event is you don't know there's 7 players announced to play, but you don't know in what order they're going, and you don't know what maps until a few days before. So when, let's say, we were playing on Everdream, then you would then whisper to Creighton, the player that's going to play in that, and the only way you will know your opponent is when you join the lobby, and there's no switching out.
Damn. All right.
So it adds a lot of suspense.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, guys, check out the VODs for that over on Creighton's stream. He's doing a great job. I love him as a caster. All right. We have the Magikarp Masters Cup, number 4. Bronze to 4,900 MMR on the NA server. And it looks like, Misery SC from Psystorm Gaming. KJ had to run, but it looks like one of his players was able to go ahead and win that one. So congrats to him. Check that out. They have a Discord, Matcherino, and it's on Capt Canuck 35 on Twitch. All right, we also have the 2020 Africa TV BJ Destruction League Season 2. I believe, Miguel, you could probably tell us a little bit about this. Another one of Alpha X's many endeavors.
Yeah, actually, I do not follow this one really closely, so I could not really help you. Sorry.
That's all right. Well, one of the many things over at Alpha X, they do a lot with Africa TV as well, which is where I cast most of the games. The cast was by Rushy, and you can check it out on Alpha X SC2 over there. Look at these team names: SSB, Big Brother Cure. Why Are You Here? That's a great name. And Beef Rice Stew. All right, excellent team names, guys. All right. Looks like Africa World 60. Another wonderful little show match, kind of a group stage thing. Stats to 4-1 over Bunny. This was over on Laughing Games' channel on Africa TV, and it was cast by him and Falcon Paladin. Check it out. Also have Tornado Rebirth of StarCraft 2 Darkness over Dastan 3-2. I believe this was probably the tournament that Alessandra was talking about within the Patreon questions. A lot of players coming together. You can check it out over on the Cranky Ducklings Twitch. We also have NA Apprentice Cup Future over Silky 3-2 in the finals. Killa Barakas and Patty Mack rounding out that round of 4. And that was again on Cranky Ducklings. We have the Gold Series Team Championship 2020 Spring. Top 5 teams in the standings will participate in the offline playoffs from June 27th to 28th. I somehow doubt that will occur, but maybe still. Oh, Alpha X, 3rd place. Look at that. Sick.
It was hard, but for example, we beat Casey Gaming, right? So we were pretty happy with Zoom,
nice.
Astria, and Breaking GG.
Wow, that's sick. All right, well, Alpha X. Do you think the offline portion is actually going to occur? I mean, it can't, right?
I have no clue.
It's in weeks, and it's like travel is still so restricted around the world. But either way, even if it's online, check it out, guys. Wardy will probably be casting it as he casts almost everything. All right, the Four Corners Brawl. Cham, Kelliger, Art, and Starkiller advance to the round of 4, organized by Creighton. Check it out again on his Twitch. Art versus Starkiller and Kelliger versus Cham are our next matches. Audai Weekly with Phil Cleo defeating Umpleby 3-0 in the finals. Nux and Justice Simon hitting 3rd and 4th place respectively. Check it out. Red Gunner Guy streamed it along with SC4VN. Of course, this is a very normal weekly tournament. Check it out, guys. We also have Legacy Weekly Japan. Psyark defeated Akira 2-0 in the finals. If you are in Japan, you can definitely check this out. Speak Japanese and all that. We also have the Alpha Pro Series, another Alpha term. Is this one of the ones you're involved with, Miguel?
I just watched it, and well, Starkiller was pretty strong, but and he won.
5-1 over Psyark. Well, all right. Congrats to him. Congrats to you guys as well. Check that out on the Africa channel at Alpha X SC2. All right, the Alpha Pro Series Ultimate Showdown. Yet another Alpha X production.
I discovered this tournament. I never heard about it, but there are so many tournaments I just can't follow them all.
It's pretty crazy what your organization actually does here, but you can check it out on their Twitch channel this time. Alpha X SC2, Zest vs Dream, Impact vs Armani, with Dream defeating Armani 3-1. Sheer Shoddy Open. We had Cham win another tournament over Kwaian in the finals there.
Very close series.
Yeah, look at that. 3-2. Pretty sick. Check that out on Sheer Shoddy's Twitch channel. We have EDF SC2 tournament. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, in the Sheer Shoddy Open, should I point out that Kiwi on 2-0 Chance again?
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, Chance has to be hitting his head against the wall, man. Damn. Kwaian makes GSL and then announces retirement and beats Chance in 2 tournaments when Chance is trying his ass off to get into GSL right now. All right. Well, good job to Kwaian. Nice retirement. All right. EDF StarCraft 2 tournament 2020. We're hosting the first StarCraft 2 tournament of 2020, GSL style. It's in group stages. You can check it out on Dark Voice Live on Twitch. And it's going to be on every Wednesday from here forward till it's done. So you can check that out. All right, the Miserable Cup. It's funded by a player known as Misery, Michael Slater. Check that out. A lot of top talent from the NA region. And yeah, I'm not sure which Twitch channel that's on. Oh, it's on Misery SC on Twitch. So that's where you can check that one out. We also have SATL StarCraft 2 Amateur Team League 5 in China. Looks like the finals NWD versus Solo ASR. All right. I know a few of these players, actually. Yeah, there's a second Silky player. I don't know if you guys knew this, but at first I was like, is this guy going back and forth between China and America? No, there's 2 players known as Silky. He's working there as well. So some strong players, no doubt. It's completely organized by players, this team league. Oh, that's interesting. Over 200 players and 17 teams. All right, cool. Congrats to NDW and Solo ASR. All right, winner, I'll buy you effing dinner. All right, Snockstar with his second dinner, 4-0 over Laughing Games in the cheesiest finals in tournament history. You check this out and try to win yourself a dinner from Some Drunk Canadian. Thanks again for your support, Some Drunk Canadian. The good questions tonight as well. Check that out over on Twitch TV on his channel. All right, Caster Calls with Zombie Grub. Episode number 10 was with none other than Nathanius. This is Zombie Grub's podcast. And she talks to them about StarCraft 2 in the developing esports industry as it grows closer and closer to the entertainment industry and how to branch out in different scenes. And Zombie Grub has the podcast version over on buzzsprout.com. zombiegrub.buzzsprout.com. Check it out. We have Ladder Heroes. Irrelevant Dragon. Pure Dragon 4. Okay, a bit of a change in plans for Ladder Heroes. Ladder Heroes returns on July 4th They have a new website, ladderheroes.feardragon.com. $1,000 prize per region. $150 weekly times 4, $400 monthly. All right, very nice. Both NA and EU. NA confirmed for future. EU's future depends on number of active EU players. So very cool. Fear Dragon putting his money where his mouth is and bringing some great matches. Check it out. This week in Brood War. Oh, that's a picture right there, isn't it? Oh my god. Larva's so funny. All right, the Brood War G's Weekly. Scan gets his revenge and defeats DeWalt in the finals 1-0. It looks like, Baku Ryu and True Touch in the round of 4. Congrats to all. Of course, that's always run by the wonderful Russ Brain, who does so much for the Brood War scene. We also have the STPL, Shannon Tank Pro League. Soul Gaming up in first place, 8-0 so far. IRK in second place right now. You can check this all out over on STPL TV on Twitch. We also have the Canadian Bacon Team Brawl from Dark Matter. Team Dragon versus Team TT1. All right, well, we don't have much more information than that about it, but I assume that two of Canada's finest players in Dragon and TT1 will be fielding teams there. So you can definitely check that out. It's going to be on the 27th of June. All right, and that does it for this week in StarCraft. Guys, thanks for joining me, and thanks for all that your orgs and you do for the scene. Love going through and learning about everything that happened over the week. Any final thoughts before we cut this show off?
No, it was honestly a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, of course, man. Glad to have you. You guys were great.
No,
Miguel?
I want to thank you too, and also the other members of staff of Alpha X who are not here today, but they are really great, especially the team owner Sushi. He's really amazing. A bit shy, so he didn't want it to come, but he's an amazing guy, and yeah, congrats to him for everything.
Yeah,
Great.
and I also want to shout out Sushi for dedication in the StarCraft community. Without him thrusting his work into the community, we wouldn't have all this glorious splurging of tournaments.
Excellent. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be back next week at the same time, same place for the Pylon Show. We'll see you then.
Shout out to the Pylon Show, the greatest show on the internet.